Hello, everybody. Beautiful flyover shot of our location here in Seefeld, Austria, in the Tyrolean Alps, as we get set for the European Nations Pro Cup 2023. My name is Troy Mannering, and I am joined by none other than our expert Jolanda Gnedinger by my side here to keep me honest and truthful throughout the day. We have a fantastic group of professional athletes in timber sports that are going to be up and getting busy with the axe and saw shortly. We'll introduce you to them and some of the other important people on the stage with our man, Marcus Float, otherwise known as Floaty, right now.
Hello everybody and welcome to the STIHL Timbersports European Nations Cup 2023! Looks like you guys are having a great time. Seefeld is on fire, and trust me, it is worth it. We've got some of the best European athletes competing today. In the morning, we had the Rookies Cup, and of course now we're getting ready for the Pros. Es wird also Zeit für die Profis, nachdem wir am Vormittag hier die wunderbaren Rookies bereits gesehen haben. Und ich darf euch an dieser Stelle unsere Schiedsrichter vorstellen. STIHL Timbersports hat sich in den letzten Jahren unglaublich entwickelt. Die Technologie ist immer besser geworden, aber umso wichtiger ist es auch hier, entsprechende Schiedsrichter zu haben. So STIHL Timbersports has made an impressive development over the last 3 years. So it's very important to have judges to take care of everything on stage and off stage. So it is my great pleasure to welcome our first judge. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Bart Janssen. And of course, Bart is not alone. He's not just by himself. His second judge will join us right now on stage. Bitte einen Riesenapplaus für Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger. Looks like our judges brought their own fan club. Very nice. Aber sie haben ja schon gestern wirklich ganz, ganz toll gearbeitet und das wird jetzt vom Publikum belohnt. Aber nicht nur auf der Bühne brauchen wir Judges. Wir haben ja auch eine Vielzahl an Videokameras installiert. And of course the videos take care of everything that cannot be seen by the human eye. That's why we're going to go to our control center and our video judge. And that is STIHL Janssen. Here he is. Give him a wave, give him a shout. Has done a tremendous job over the last few days as we are getting ready for our athletes. Seid ihr bereit für die Nationen? Seid ihr bereit für unsere Athleten? Ich kann euch nicht hören, ich bin mir nicht sicher. Seid ihr bereit? So off we go with our athletes, starting with the team of Switzerland. Representing die Schweiz, the Swiss Pro Champion 2023, Cyril Papst, and the 2 times Vice World Champion, Christoph Geisler. Our second nation competing is the Team Nordic. And let's meet the 2 Swedes, the European Trophy winner of 2022, Emil Hansen, and the Nordic Pro and 4 Nations Cup champion, Ferry Svan. Nation number 3, representing Poland. Please welcome the Vice National Champ, Marcin Dubicki, and the European Nation Cup and European Trophy winner, Michal Dubicki. Italy is also in the house, representing their country. The French and Italian Rookie Cup winner, Michel Perrin, and the Italian Pro Champion, Alessandro Giapponi. There we go with the shake hands. Look at these massive men. with the big smiles in their face as we await the next nation, and that is Germany. Representing Deutschland, Rookie Academy and Swiss Rookie Cup bronze medalist Marcel Steinkemper, and the 3 times German champion and 4th of the last World Championship, Mr. Danny Martin. Ja, da gibt es immer weniger Platz auf unserer großen Bühne, nur weil die so breite Schultern haben, die Herren. Und das gilt natürlich auch für die nächste Nation. Representing La France, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the 3 times vice national champion, Alessandre Meurice, and the 8 times national champion of France, Pierre Pubaret. So let's give it a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nations up on stage. Da fehlt noch die 7. Nation. Und das ist das Team aus Österreich. Begrüßen wir den Vize-Staatsmeister Günther Dallinger und den Silbermedaillengewinner der European Trophy und des Four Nations Cup, den 9-fachen österreichischen Staatsmeister Armin Kugler. Das sind sie, unsere 7 Nationen, hier beim STIHL Timbersports European Nations Cup 2023. Einmal noch bitte ein Riesenapplaus für alle Akteure, denn jetzt ist noch lustig, aber gleich wird's ernst. Ladies and gentlemen, the 7 nations. Switzerland, Sweden, Poland, Italy, Germany, France, and Austria. How about that? We are ready to rock and roll. We are ready to return to the studio. Troy, Yolanda, take it away. We are ready to compete.
Thanks, Floaty, and we are ready to give you the competition as well. Yolanda, you're good to go?
I'm good to go.
All right, before we get this underway, we did have the rookie competition earlier on, so we're going to take a quick look at the nation ranking. Team Scandinavia currently in the lead with 19 points. France sitting in a close second at 13. Austria with 11.5 points in third. Poland, Germany, Switzerland, and Italy rounding out the remaining top 7 of our nation. So there is some work to be done by those remaining 4 teams, and they have definitely got the talent on stage to be able to take care of business, don't they?
Oh, they sure do it.
All right, so that's going to happen on stage as these guys are going to work as hard as they can through the 6 disciplines to try and get as many points as possible. And then those points will be calculated in along with our rookie points from earlier on in the day. And then, obviously, the highest point score will be your nation's winner. All right, so the first discipline is going to be the underhand chop, but we have the competition format now.
Athletes compete in 3 disciplines: the underhand chop, the stock saw, and the standing block chop. The times achieved will be converted into points upon completion of each discipline. In round 1, a difference of 1 point applies in each discipline, thus the fastest athlete received 12 points and the slowest only 1 point. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification, and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. At the end of the first round, the athletes with the lowest scores are eliminated. Only 8 athletes make it to the second round. In this second round, the remaining athletes compete in the single buck and the springboard for increased scores. With 2 points difference between placings, the fastest athlete now receives 16 points and the slowest receives 2. The 2 athletes with the lowest total points are eliminated at the end of round 2. Only the top 6 reach the third round. In the third round, anything is still possible in the hot saw, as an increased score interval of 3 points applies in this final round. The fastest athlete can score up to 18 points at the hot saw, the slowest only 3 points. The athlete who manages to achieve the highest total score across all 3 rounds is the new champion.
So as I mentioned, our first discipline is going to be the underhand chop, and let's take a quick look at the tool and discipline for the underhand.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand-sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32 centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
All right, so there we have our start list. Alessandro Ciapponi will be getting going against Günther Dahlinger, Alexander Maurice against Danny Martin, Pierre Puy-Barré against Michel Perrin, and it's going to continue on like that. Now, we should point out here that it is not a head-to-head elimination. We are having two athletes on stage. They are competing against each other, but it is about gaining the fastest possible cuts and therefore the best time and points for your relative country. So there you see Alessandro Ciapponi and Günther Dahlinger getting ready to go. You'll also see their information on stage. On the screen occasionally we'll be able to talk a little bit about that, but there is Alessandro, the national pro champion for Italy 2023. A lot of hopes resting on his shoulders for the Italians.
There sure is.
Günther Dahlinger, fourth place in the National Pro Championship that we just did yesterday.
Okay.
There we go. And our first event is ready to go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice quick start by Alessandro Ciapponi. Very important that you don't jump that gun. And these guys getting into the blocks right away. You mentioned earlier, Yolanda, that these guys are trying to cut more open faces on the first side to make sure they have less work to do on the second side. Ciapponi getting close to it.
That's right. You can see there, big slap came off of his block. That the judges will definitely take a look at that afterwards.
And it's going to be Günther Dahlinger getting through there in 32.47 to the delight of the local crowd here. Austria gets the first points on the board with a 32.47 time. Alessandro Ciapponi with a 35.58, but there is issue with his block, as Yolanda pointed out.
So you can see there, they're just trying to find that piece that broke off.
It's like putting a puzzle back together.
That's right.
Yeah, it's very important. In the rule book, it says they have to cut through from both sides. So the result of that big piece coming off could mean they didn't actually have a clean cut through. And this is the reason why there is the risk of a DQ here for Alessandro. We hope not, but let's see what Judge Bart says.
Both cuts is good.
All right, so obviously he put that puzzle back together. It's all good.
That's right. We'll see afterwards again in the close-up. They did have nails on that one side, and that is exactly there to prevent this from happening.
All right, let's pick this apart a little bit here. Maybe we can see it.
Both very strong axemen, good hits there. A little close to the foothold for my liking, but...
Yeah, I like my toes where they are, too.
Maybe we'll get another look here at the other side where he's chopping.
Here we see that final driver there from Günther Dahlinger. That stopped his time at 32.12. We should point out, if you were watching earlier, you know this, but if you're just joining us for the stream today, the times that we see immediately after the heat is over are unofficial until they've been corrected by our competition control center. Next heat up, Alexandre Maurice up against Danny Martin. Danny Martin, as you see, three-time national pro champion for Germany. A lot of expectations from him personally as well from the German team.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice even start by both Alexandra and Danny as they get into that first side, chipping out some nice big pieces. Alexander's not exactly a big guy, but he moves that axe quite quickly. Now, Danny's got a lot of power, though.
That's right, but Alexander has just as much power, small and mighty.
Small and mighty. He's a power packet that's tight. And he moves it very quickly. Who's going to get through there first? Danny Martin on the right-hand side of your screen in the black. It's going to be Alexander Maurice. Oh, and a 25.50. He takes a personal best down. And Danny Martin's taking a quick look at his axe. There's something going on there. He needs to really work hard here because there has been issue with his block. He gets it, and it is split. But the time, 38.35, is not something that he is used to. He definitely cuts better than that. And the judges are going to take a quick look to make sure that is, in fact, cut through.
So there's always that danger when it splits like that there's just that small piece of wood that's still attached. And if that is the case, then it's a DQ.
And this is one of those things these guys have to really keep a close eye on. And what they'll do is they'll lift the block and see if the other block moves with it or if it gives a little bit of tension.
That's right.
It looks like it is actually cut through, so we at least hope for Danny's sake that it is cut through, because there is issue with this block. Now they're looking at the foothold here as well. Oh man, he just can't buy a break today, it seems like.
No.
And Danny's found a knot in his block. He wants to make sure everybody sees that.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Stand 1 is good. Stand 2, unfortunately, DQ cut his foothold.
Oh, that is a rough start for Team Germany with a cut foothold for Danny Martin. Absolutely not what the expectation was for them at all.
Definitely not. So we'll take a closer look here at this heat. They both have a pretty good frequency going there. Really hard hits. Those chips are just flying.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of power then they're swinging these axes, the control of the axe and the accuracy of the axe is so important. And one of the rules is you're not allowed to cut into the foothold. If you do, it's a safety issue, and that's why the DQ for Danny. And the day just continues to get worse and worse for Team Germany, in particular for Danny Martin. There is, or was, an issue earlier on prior to the start of competition with his block. We'll go into that shortly after the slow-mo here. You'll get a brief explanation about what happened there. And I think that we're going to actually have that explanation from Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger, what happened prior to Danny's run, and the fact that Team Germany will have a 5-point deficit going into the next heats here.
There's a rule, it's called no striking of the block, so it's not allowed for the athlete to mark the block with the axe or something else before the event. To cut the wood is only allowed on stage. And here we had the situation that Danny Martin marked the wood already at the preparation time with this axe. And this is a rule infraction. We discussed whether we give him a warning or a disqualification. But I think the medium in between, -5 points, is the correct rule infraction result. And therefore, he got a -5 point rule infraction.
So that's a tough situation for Danny and for Team Germany because, first of all, there's a 5-point infraction there, and the DQ means 0 points for Team Germany for the underhand chop. So that's a really hard start for them, and they're going to have to bust their buns the rest of the way in order to catch up.
Yes. Yeah. Not a fun way to start.
Yeah, it's a rough way to start for sure. Next heat is ready to go on stage, so we're going to head back up onto the stage and introduce you to our next pairing, and that is going to be Pierre Puybarret from France, who holds the national record at 16.79, and Michel Perrin, who is looking at a personal best of 24, excuse me, just shy of 25 seconds. So he'll be looking to make some major improvements here today. And it's one of those situations where you can say perhaps he'll play up to try and keep up with Pierre Puybarret, who is, I think they said, 9-time national champion. I mean, that's legendary status.
Okay. Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And right away, Puybarret getting into it with massive drivers from on high.
A little stick there, but that doesn't faze him a bit.
Chiapponi's already, or excuse me, Perrin is already over to the other side of his block, and Puy-Barré jumped over to the second side of his block late. Could that have been a mistake by Perrin to jump over that early? No, it looks like it's been good for him as he cuts through it, and they're going to have to do a time adjustment there, but they stop the clock at 25.68. Puy-Barré struggling on the second side with a 29.09. That's well off pace for him. So more often than not, because of the high-speed cameras and the timing units in our competition control center, we will see a time drop for these guys. But because Michel did get back up and take a couple more drivers, that means they'll probably increase his time from 26 up a second or two.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both guys are good.
All right, so officially we have Michel Perrin with a 26.95 and Pierre Puy-Barré with a 31.36.
That like double his best time. Unreal. But you can see there a little bit darkened spot. That is the sign that there is a knot in there. It is a natural product. You gotta expect that there can be a knot in there. Just have to deal with it.
And Michel Perrin stepping down a couple of, almost 3 times there before he did that last driver to get through. And here we can see the final drivers from Pierre Puy-Barré. All right, so there we go. Our first few heats are getting in the books, and we're starting to get into the flow of the situation here. Coming up next, we have Switzerland's STIHL Pabst, who is the recent winner of the Swiss Championship. And also up there with him is Marcel Steinkemper from Germany. So Marcel is now under immense pressure, seeing as Danny had the DQ in the underhand chop to try and gain some good points. And Marcel does have an opportunity here. He's a very good axeman.
Okay, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So STIHL Pabst getting quickly into it, and you can see already there's a major slab waiting to come out on the right side of that block, and he is moving that axe fast. Marcel Steinkemper shifting over to the other side. How does that first side look to you?
Looks great on this side.
STIHL Pabst also right there. I know who you're cheering for. And STIHL Pabst is through at 26.04. Steinkemper at 27.61. Pretty good time. That puts Marcel in 4th place currently. So at the moment, that's 9 points for Germany. Alexander Maurice still atop the leaderboard with the underhand chop, and STIHL Pabst sitting in 2nd place just behind him with that 26.04. We'll wait for the official adjustment of time here and see if that makes a major difference.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both guys are good.
All right, so both cuts are good. The time is now officially locked in at 25.81. So just a little bit slower than Alexander Maurice, as STIHL Pabst is in 2nd place. So let's break this down a little bit.
So there you see that big slab coming out. That's a huge advantage if you can get out as much wood right at the beginning. You want the least amount of hits on that side to do that switch. He did open fairly wide, Cyril, on the first side. So this side, you can see he went off his line to make it a little bit smaller, cut less wood, but still get the job done.
Well, it worked out for him, and he's sitting in 2nd place right now, and good points right there, if he can stay in that position for Team Switzerland. And those final drivers there from Marcel Steinkemper as well, as he's got a clean cut through. So right now, they're sitting with 9 points, Germany, for the underhand chop. That may change. There's still a few athletes yet to come. I do believe that we have Marcel Steinkemper with Floty over on our interview stage. Let's head over there and see what Marcel has to say about the start of this competition for Team Germany.
Yeah, thank you, Troy. Marcel is standing right next to me. Du bist ja einer, der das noch sehr gut in Erinnerung hat, wie das ist, als Rookie hier am Start zu sein. Jetzt bist du einer von den Pros, jetzt bist du einer von denen, die Verantwortung übernehmen müssen und auch ein bisschen die Jungen so führen müssen. Fühlt sich das gut an oder ist das schon ein bisschen eine Belastung?
Nein, also das ist wirklich ein tolles Gefühl. Man, wie du schon sagst, ich habe das ja alles selber miterlebt und weiß auch, wie die Jungs sich heute Morgen gefühlt haben. Und ja, das ist dann immer schön, denen dann auch noch mal ein bisschen was mitgeben zu können, was aus meiner Erfahrung, was ich so als Rookie erlebt habe und wie das alles so ist. und das ist schon schön.
So Marcel says it's a great feeling to be one of the pros now, not only because he's older, but also because he knows exactly how it felt when he was a rookie, and he was very thankful for the pros giving him a hand and supporting him. And he said this morning, because the rookies, of course, are the ones starting off the competition, it's a very tough feeling, and he knew exactly how they felt. Eine Frage noch, Marcel. Stimmungstechnisch geht es ja hier seit gestern so richtig rund. Wie sehr hast du dem Wettkampf entgegengefiebert und hast dich gefreut, hier auch vor den Fans performen zu können?
Ja, also es ist natürlich immer was Besonderes, vor einer großen Kulisse anzutreten, und gerade hier in Seefeld, hier ist wirklich eine tolle Kulisse, auch drumherum um die Bühne, und ja, geht eigentlich nicht besser.
Also ich glaube, das darf man gerne mal mit einem Applaus belohnen. Das ist so ein sympathischer, netter Kerl, obwohl er auch wirklich gefährlich sein kann, wenn er dann oben auf der Bühne steht. Marcel, alles Gute ja für die weiteren Bewerbe. Es folgen ja noch 5. Thank you very much, Marcel Steinkemper. He is ready and he enjoys himself here in Seefeld. That's what he said. But I know Yolanda and Troy, you guys are enjoying yourselves as well, right?
Yeah, thank you, Floaty. We're having a good time here in the studio, although it is a little bit hot with the sun at our backs, but we'll live with it. Guido and crew had to live with it yesterday, so we're going to head back up onto the stage now and get into our next heat, heat number 5 with Armin Kugler and Marcin Dubitsky. And you can see Armin Kugler holding the national record of 19 and 12 for Austria. I mean, the guy is legendary. He's been around so long, and he is just so consistent and so good. There you see Marcin Dubitsky, silver medalist, National Pro Championship 23.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And the Dubitsky boys, they are taking no prisoners when they get on stage, so you got to keep an eye on them. Armin Kugler getting right into it. Look at the speed he is cutting. Already onto the second side. Dubitsky about a stroke and a half behind him now as he switched over onto the second side. And the time approaching 20 seconds. Is we going to have an under 20? My goodness, my English is fantastic. And that is a personal best for Dubitsky with 20.30. And I imagine that time is actually going to drop down a little bit when they get it through Competition Control Center. Armin Kugler with a 23.61 has moved into second place behind Marcin Dubitsky.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both guys are good.
Well, that one went by in the blink of an eye, and I saw your face when Marcin cut through. You're like, huh?
I was tipping on Armin Kugler.
Yeah, that was an unbelievably quick cut, and I mentioned, you know, they're taking no prisoners on stage. When the Dubitskys are playing, they're playing for keeps. Wow, look at those chips coming off that block from Dubitsky.
If you have the right axe, perfectly sharpened, the amount of wood that you can take out in one hit. I think they try to do between 6 to 8 hits if possible, and then switch.
Yeah, that was a nice final cut from Dubitsky. Well done. Looked like a bit of a struggle on the second side for Armin Kugler as he takes a look at the time, and there, right there, was like, yeah, it's okay, but it's not my best. All right, next heat on deck, we have Marcin Dubitsky going up against, Christoph Geisler going up against Ferry Swan. I've jumped the gun here. Christoph Geisler, he is 49?
49.
49 years old, folks. Absolutely relevant, still in the mix. You do not want to underestimate that man. Ferry Swan as well, one of the younger athletes, but absolutely top-notch. Here we go.
2, 1, go!
What you'll notice about Ferry Swan is that he tends to take very short but quick chops. Geisler, on the other hand, very accurate and very quick as well. He's changed his style slightly over the years. And Christoph Geisler is first over to the other side. Ferry Swan 4 strokes back as he switches to the other side of his block. And we could see a couple of good times here. Christoph Geisler looks like he's getting there. 21.58 for Christoph Geisler, putting him in second place. Ferry Swan struggling on that second side. Was he too shallow on the first side at 29.18? That is unusual time-wise for Ferry Swan. He's 10 seconds slower than his best time. And Christoph Geisler moves into second place behind Marcin Dubitsky. And Ferry Swan is down in 8th place, just behind Marcel Steinkemper's time.
Okay. Ball cut is good.
So as you mentioned earlier, the blocks are cutting a little bit shorter, a little bit slower today. Yeah, and you also mentioned axe choice is playing a big role in how these blocks are cutting. And I remember seeing some of the guys in the back there testing axes on some of the other blocks from the same tree stand. How much does that really affect it, or how much are they really different between block and block?
There can be a huge difference between two blocks, because if they're not from the exact same tree and just piece after the other piece, anything could change. There could be a branch or not, the way it grew, there can be a little bit of a difference.
Well, I didn't see any dark spots in Ferry Swan's block there, so it could be that maybe his axe choice was just not the one that he needed to have today. There are 8 different axe choices, or more in fact, that you can choose from, and it's a big secret what the guys take when they go up on stage. We are into the action now today, but there's still plenty of action to come this season, and you can also check back at previous streams. Let's take a quick look at what we've done and what we're still coming to do. So we are here 3rd of September for the European Nations Pro Cup in Seefeld. 1st of October, the German Pro Championships happening in Essen in Germany. That's going to be on the live stream. And then, of course, on the 3rd and 4th of November, the Team World Championships and the Individual World Championships, respectively. And if you want to get back into the action, there is still video on demand from all the different events that we've had throughout the season. So if you want to just catch up on who's done what and where, that is plenty to be seen there as far as getting the history back up into finding out where you're at. All right, let's get into our final heat in the underhand chop, and our first discipline will be finished after this one. We'll take a look at the standings and see how it affects things so far. All right, Mikael Dubitsky and Emil Hansen. We've seen these guys battle it out before, but look at the national record fast time for Dubitsky, 14.19. Now, when he gets up there, keep a close eye, folks, on how quickly he moves that axe. Emil Hansen has also been absolutely outstanding. He and Ferry Swan have been fighting with each other in the national arena for quite a few years, but Emil Hansen has the pedigree that his father, Hans-Ove Hansen, is there to guide him along.
That's right.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Now watch Mikael Dubitsky there. Quick axe movement. Emil Hansen with a big slab cut out there. Bit of a sticky axe as he switches over to the other side ahead of Dubitsky. Dubitsky opting to go with his butt to the audience for the second side of his block. So our cameraman can really see him grimacing at that block as we pass the 22-second mark for both of these guys. Emil Hansen's got it in 24:03. Dubitsky stepping down, and by virtue of stepping down and having to step back up, lost a couple of seconds, and he's got a 27.92.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Ball cut is good.
All right, so it started out looking like it was going to be fast, and it went a little bit slower than expected for both of these guys. Emil Hansen sitting in 4th place at the moment, with Mikael Dubitsky down in 9th place. Surprising spot for him to be in, because normally Mikael is much stronger in this discipline than he showed here today.
Yeah, he sure is. I think that last little bit there, that sticky of the axe and losing his balance is costing so many seconds there.
We should also point out that Mikael has been having some problems with the with his forearms. He's just got so much power there that there's had a few, I think they called it a blown cartilage or something like that in his forearm. So that's why he's wearing those the forearm brace there on his arms to help support the muscles. So underhand chop is done and dusted. Our first discipline is out of the way, and we can see right there as the standings in the first discipline are also our overall standings. And we are getting the stage set up for our next discipline coming up, and that is the stock saw, where the guys will be getting busy with the MS661 saw on stage.
So it'll be
All right, so there, quick look at where the Nations Cup is now that we are getting some points in there. Team Scandinavia still on top. Team Poland has snuck into second place, and Team Austria is now holding on to a nice third place. Still lots of action to go, though, folks, so don't worry. We're going to keep you fed with cutting and sawing till the end of this day in the afternoon. Let's get back into it with our tool and discipline for stock saw.
The STIHL MS661 CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
All right, so there is our heat list for the stock saw, and the first heat going to be Michel Perrin against Alexander Maurice. You might be looking at this and saying, hey, I can go and buy that saw in my local dealership and just start cutting and get some real good times like maybe a season's best or a world record 851, but that's not actually the case, is it? There's a little bit more to it. It's not about the power, is it, Yolanda?
No, there's a lot more to it. A lot of technique and a little bit of strength.
But this is also something that's quite funny because you say, you know, you go out and you train in the underhand, you train in the standing block chop, you train in the single buck. And the one thing a lot of guys don't train in is the stock saw. Why is that?
Everybody thinks they can run a power saw. So you think, yep, I can do that, that's fine. It's worked for me the last competition. I'll be fine for this one. But it is shown, paid off, train a little bit, and then you'll be able to prove your times.
Ready.
All right, well, let's see how this goes for our first stock saw heat.
3, 2, 1, go!
Great start by Alexander Maurice. Michel Perrin looked like he struggled to get the first grip quickly onto the saw, but he got it up there pretty quickly. Remember, 10 centimeters to cut 2 clean cookies and get them on the deck. And Maurice is going to have the first ones down. Wow, look how close that was. Perrin, I thought, was going to be a bit slower than Maurice, but he was, in fact, faster as the time stopped at 13 seconds. It didn't stop on my screen here. And he's not really satisfied, and it looks like he might have a cut line. I'm hoping that we don't have a DQ for Michel Perrin because 12.83 seconds is a personal best for him. And Bart Janssen is taking a very close look at that, and he'll also, in some cases, call over Dr. Jörg Kutzenberger, which is what's happening right now, to make sure they're both seeing the same thing there.
He had a very large second cookie.
Alexander Maurice with a 13.04. And it looks like we might have a DQ. I'm hoping not, but we'll see when the final word is said by Bart here.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand 1, DQ, cut the line. Stand 2, it's okay.
Hate to see that. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why you guys say thin to win, right? You want to have a nice thin cookie. The thicker the cookie is, the less space you have to make those cuts. And obviously, that's what happened to Michel Perrin. Let's break it down a bit here.
So yeah, he did have a little fumble there, Mika, when he picked up the saw.
Oh my God.
He actually had a huge first cookie. I thought it was the other way around. But there you see how close they get to that line, and it's just so crucial to make sure that that stays on there.
Yeah, that quick transition by Michel Perrin put him over a little bit too far towards the line. That first cookie from Alexander Maurice was a massive one. Put some chocolate chips in there, and I'm satisfied. But boy, that second cookie from him, he had to be thin.
So you see a lot of the guys, the pros, they won't mark it. They know how to saw. They say, yep, I got it. I prefer to mark my block, look at the line, and try and hit it.
Makes sense. All right, stock saw heat 2. Gunther Dallinger, personal best of 11.39. Pierre Puy-Barret, a personal best of 10.08. Pretty closely matched up guys here, not only from their tail of the tape as far as their times are concerned, but also from their stature on stage. Both big boys, both very strong. And I would say in this case, Pierre Puy-Barré, definitely the man with a little bit more experience than Günther Dahlinger.
Indeed.
Heat number 2, please welcome from France, Pierre Puy-Barré, and from Austria, Günther Dahlinger.
So we've seen so far, we've only had one heat, but the times, they kind of match those of the rookies today.
Yeah, everything's running a little bit slower. Yeah? You mentioned earlier during the rookies that the altitude here could be affecting the way the saws are running, the fuel-air mixture, and how that affects the power output. And there's so many factors that play a role here.
Warm up your saw.
And these really are the workhorse saws for the industry. It's the STIHL MS661 saw.
Athletes ready.
One of the most dependable saws on the market.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Two different styles of starting as well. Pierre Puy-Barré with a great start. A bit of an angle on the cut for Günther Dahlinger, so he's going to have to be careful on the transition to the upcut. Puy-Barré, it looks like he's got a nice thin cookie on the upcut, and his time is going to be good. 11.83. Günther Dahlinger with a 14.08. Ooh.
The cookie did break, but
did break.
it's still a complete cookie.
Good.
So this is part of that the puzzle-making kit that Bart Janssen always has. He's checking those cookies to make sure he can put the pieces back together, because if a complete cookie does hit the ground and breaks, it still counts as a complete cookie.
That's right. You can see here by Günther, he's went in straight and now changed the angle. So that means right by the saw, you're not cutting as much wood. So that's why we want to try and keep the saw going straight down the entire time. You can see that by Puy-Barré.
Yeah, he's got a nice thin cookie on the upcut there from Puy-Barré. That's Günther Dahlinger, excuse me. Still had space to the line. Puy-Barré, here's yeah, he's got two thin cookies on the deck, and by virtue of the second cookie being as thin as it was, it hit the deck and broke, but it was still okay, so both cookies were good. And looks like we are ready for heat number 3 with Marcin Dubitsky and Alessandro Chiapponi. And we could see the personal best for these guys are all around 10, 11, 12 seconds. There's not really any of these guys that are outside of the 15-second mark on the cut. The world record, I believe we're looking at 8 seconds and change here. Let me just double check that for stock saw. Yeah,
Okay.
8:51, still held by the Norwegian Ole Magnus Sulje Berget from 2021.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Marcin Dubitsky on the left-hand side of your screen, Alessandro Chiapponi on the right. Alessandro looks like he's got a nice thin cookie to start things off with. Transition looked pretty good. It could be a clean upcut for him. Dubitsky pulling a bit hard, and it's Alessandro with a 14.11, Dubitsky with a 15.06.
It's usually that last second that gets you when you just want to get that saw out of the
Ladies
wood.
and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Yeah, and I guess the excitement of pulling that saw up and trying to get it out can sometimes cause the saw to bog down a little bit or the chain to stop, and then you're really in trouble.
That's right. So 2 different styles there.
So you can see that's I'm going to say that's a good 2 centimeter thick cookie that he's got cutting. And it appears though as Chiapponi's cookie is a little bit thinner than that, maybe not by much, but it gives them a little bit more space to make a mistake and correct for on that second cut.
That's right.
These guys are pretty seldom making those mistakes though. And right there you can see, oh, the chain actually did stop for Marcin.
That's
So
why you
just
lose
briefly,
crucial seconds.
yeah. All right. So Danny Martin, after his DQ in the underhand chop, he is absolutely an expert when it comes to the motor saw in hand. This is his opportunity to do some damage and really get back into the mix, maybe to try and excise some of those demons from that first DQ and those 5 points for his team. So he's got to really cut well here today.
Okay, gentlemen. Warm up your saw.
Cyril Pabst. Personal best is 11 seconds. So Danny Martin, definitely the stronger of the stock sawyers here. I just hope that his headspace is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Really good start by Martin. Gets right into it, but he's cutting at an angle. Cyril Pabst maintaining a calm demeanor as he gets that upcut going. Danny Martin struggling a little bit on the upcut. And it's going to be a bit slower than Danny Martin is used to, but both of those guys very close to each other. Cyril Pabst slightly faster on the upcut. Danny Martin was faster on the initial cut, but Cyril Pabst had a better second cut, and Danny Martin has got 2 cookies on the deck, which I hope are going to be allowed. It looks like it is.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So Pierre Puy-Barré still holding the top spot in the stock saw results. Cyril Pabst just sneaks into second place ahead of Danny Martin, who with a 12:28 time is in third place. So that's definitely points that he would like to keep now at this point.
Definitely, because you're not only competing for yourself, but you're also competing for your team. So you don't want to let your team down, even though you've had a rough start. See, once he upcut both of them, same angle there.
Yeah, you can see Danny Martin also, is this what you were saying a lot, that the angle of his cuts were down towards the inside of the block both times. First cut down at an angle and the second cut up at an angle, so he had to be really careful about getting that line on the upcut. Good to be lucky, lucky to be good. All right, up next we have Michael Dubitsky up against Ferry Swan. For quite a couple of years, when Ferry Swan first jumped into the pro ranks, he was like, yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with my saws. I hate to do it, and they love to make it rough on me.
Okay, gentlemen.
But more recently, he's become very adept with the saw, and you can see there his personal best is under 10 seconds. So that tells you that he's been working a lot on his sawing disciplines here.
And in the end, those are the easiest points to catch by the stock saw.
Are they really, though?
Ready.
Stand
If you
to
train.
your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start by both the guys. Dubitsky with a bit of a thick cookie there. Ooh, Ferry Swan with a fat one as well.
Wow, look at that changeover.
Transfer to the upcut was nice and clean. Dubitsky slightly faster than Ferry Swan. 12:56 to 13:26. Let's see how that changes things here a little bit. So Michael Dubitsky with a 12:56 in fourth place. Ferry Swan in sixth. And if I take a quick peek at the overall standings, Cyril Pabst and Team Switzerland, or Cyril Pabst is sitting in the top spot. So at the moment, Switzerland has the advantage here in our pro contest. And they are checking out, oh, it looks like maybe Ferry Swan might have tagged that disc on the way up. Interesting. So that would be a rough situation for the Scandinavian crew because they've been leading up until this point. So no points have been allotted yet as this is under review and just waiting for contest or the control center to be contacted by Bart Janssen here as they discuss what happened on the bottom of that block. It looks like some of the bark actually just got knocked away. Maybe it happened when it fell down. Oh, we do have a video review, so they will go into the competition control center and take a quick look at what happened here as Bart Janssen does a little bit of experimenting on stage, and there we see what happens occasionally. The yellow flag is out, so we'll head in to see STIHL Janssen, and they'll discuss in the competition control center what is actually going on. And you can see as they look at that slow motion camera how many frames they can really just go so close to the action and see what happened.
Janssen in full control of all the cameras.
So they're just going back and forth, trying to see to put this together. Did he move down, tap it a bit, and then go for that second cookie?
Yeah, this is the critical point, and this is one of the reasons why we have all of those cameras on stage. They're filming from multiple angles. You could see all of the different screens in there, all the different angles, and that's what these guys are taking a close look at right now, because if he did, in fact, tap that block, then that counts as incomplete cookie, and
That's
it
right.
would be, in fact, a DQ. So that was heat number 5 between Michael Dubitsky and Ferry Swan. We're just waiting to find out what the results, and you could see, now I'm not sure if they're looking at whether it was a jump start or if it was actually the tap. I think it was the tap at the bottom. And what I'm seeing from the video there is that cookie actually hit the deck, rolled back, and got caught by the chain. In my world, that would mean, okay, it's not a tap where, you know, he had any control over the situation, and it would be deemed a legal cut.
That's right. Yep, there you go. We just saw how it hit the bar and then came flying back. But when they were out there taking a look at the cookies, both cookies did have
It did look that way.
a piece missing. So maybe one they could piece back together, and the other one would have been this situation where the bar touched it, or the cookie touched the bar.
All right, so we're just going to wait for the final decision, and we are on pins and needles at the moment as Bart Janssen, Ferry Swan, and Michael Dubitsky are waiting on stage to find out what the final result will be when Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger comes out after the long discussion with Jules Janssen there in the Competition Control Center. So this is what we're waiting on right now as they review it one more time. Ah, yes, I could see what happened there. It rolled around to the front of the bar, the chain was rotating, and it shot it back, and that's where the contact happened. But that doesn't explain the little piece missing on the second cookie. So your observation there was absolutely correct. So pins and needles now as Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger comes back out onto stage, and he'll pass on the information to Bart Janssen, and then we will have our final decision. So it looks like he's relaying that over the headset to him right now.
Nerve-wracking moments.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand 1. Okay, stand DQ, incomplete disc.
That is a rough one for Ferry Swan. He's going to want to talk about that one with the judges after this competition is over. I'm not in there. I didn't see the screen up close, but from my perspective, and I think we both agree on this, it looked like the cookie rolled back into the chain of the saw. Let's take a look at the slow-mo here and see if we can actually see it.
So that is a pretty big cookie that he had there.
Same with Mika Dubitsky, huh?
Yeah, and I know he said afterwards it looked like a...
So let's watch this here. It rolled into it, so that's where that initial cut happened. So the question is, what was the incomplete part of the second? I mean, you can't really control that, and I don't understand it myself. So I think I might have a talk with Bart Janssen as well to find out from the horse's mouth, so to say, what's really going on, because that's a confusing moment for me as well, and I think probably for Ferry Swan as well. All right, moving on to heat number 6, second to last heat. This one between Marcel Steinkemper and Emil Hansson. So the stage has been ready for quite some time. That it took quite a while for that discussion, and obviously they were wanting it to be really properly set up. I mean, it's not like they just went in there, looked at the picture and said, okay, whatever, it's a DQ for Ferry Swan. They took their time with it. They really made sure. So I can't argue with their decision, but I have questions about it myself.
Yeah, same here. So you can see that line that Bart just drew on the top. That is the line that all the fingers have to be passed by when they say go.
All right, so a couple of young guys here going up against each other. Emil Hansen, I believe, stepped up with Marcel Steinkemper into the pro ranks at the beginning of last year. So they are in their sophomore seasons as pros, and they're competing against each other on stage here. So they can both be very proud of how they've been performing over the last couple of years.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, good start by both of them. Marcel was on that quick. Oh, but that is a massive, massive cookie for Marcel. He's in trouble. He's got to go back up to the top because he realized he had way too much cookie there, and he is recutting. This is an important thing. This was a smart decision by Marcel, but now he's got to be real careful about that second cookie to make sure he gets it complete. And that's going to be a rough time for Marcel Steinkemper, 22:57. And if he does have 2 complete cookies, he'll be okay. And to be honest with you, that was fantastic.
That was a
you
very
can see
good
him
decision.
just tapping his head there. It was fantastic that he recognized that, went back and recut. Otherwise, he would have had a DQ because there was no room to cut a second cookie.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Oh.
All right, so it's gotten a little bit bananas here. We've got 2 disqualifications already in the stock saw, Michel Perrin and Ferry Swan. The hope now is that Emil Hansen and Marcel Steinkemper's times will be good. But look at this first cookie. That is massive. And he noticed it right away here. He's into the cut of it, and he's like, whoa, wait a minute. I got to stop here and get back up. Actually, he was quite far into the cut.
He was almost to the bottom.
Yeah.
But right decision, because you have to have that down cut and that up cut. He couldn't have just decided, oh, I'll just do 2 cookies up, or as what he wants. He has to have 1 down and 1 up.
You can see here Emil Hansen leaning into that saw on the upcut because you told me the other day the saw wants to kick back towards you. So the guys are using their legs to balance the saw. And here, Marcel just took his time. He didn't rush it in this case to make sure they had a really thin second cookie and that he wasn't going towards that line that he had already cut and not had a complete cookie. So that was a very intelligent decision by him. All right, stock saw heat number 7, and that will be 2 disciplines done and dusted after this one. And it is Christoph Geisler and Armin Kugler. These are 2 gentlemen that have battled in the past many a time.
Okay, gentlemen.
And Christoph Geisler, at 49 years old, still holds the national record for stock saw, as does Armin Kugler for Austria.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Christoph Geisler, always the perfectionist here with a beautiful thin cookie. Armin Kugler, not as thin, but still good quality. Nice transition by both of the guys. Armin Kugler a bit quicker on the upcut, maybe. Ooh! Oh. Wow, look at that! 14:59 to 14:50. That was about as close as it gets today. Quick check to make sure they've got 2 good cookies on the deck, and Christoph Geisler and Armin Kugler, so well matched up, these 2. Unbelievable.
Unreal.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, so we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at that slow motion. Then we'll see the results of the stock saw, and then we'll find out where this puts us as far as the overall standings in the pros, and then I'm hoping we'll also get a page to look at with the rankings in the Nations Cup.
You can see that change over there, very smooth, very quick. Another small thin cookie. That's the way you want. And both almost simultaneously finishing that cut.
Wow, look how close this was at the end, though. I mean,
Unreal.
It's milliseconds here. And if I look at this here, it's Christoph Geisler with a 14.44, Armin Kugler with a 14.32 after adjustment. So that's about as close as it gets with 2 really evenly matched up athletes. Now, we talked about that DQ from Ferry Swan earlier. We had questions about it, and I said I was going to go and talk to the judges myself later on. Well, we don't need to. We're going to head over to Floaty. He is with Dr. Jörg Kutzenberger, who is going to explain what exactly happened with that DQ of Ferry Swan.
Well, thank you very much, Troy. Jörg Kurzenberger, du hast dir sehr, sehr viel Zeit genommen, diese Entscheidung zu fällen. Ihr habt euch das Video noch einmal genau angesehen. Was war genau das Problem bei Ferry Swans Cut?
Ja, also der Cut von Ferry Swan war insgesamt ein sehr spezieller Cut, weil beide Scheiben, die er geschnitten hat, sahen unvollständig aus. Und daher muss ich eben beide Schnitte sozusagen nochmal kontrollieren. Folgendes ist passiert, also er hat die erste Scheibe gesägt und als dann die erste Scheibe nach unten gefallen ist, ist die Scheibe quasi auf seine Säge gefallen. Das heißt, der erste Schnitt in der ersten Scheibe war deshalb, weil die Scheibe auf seine Säge gefallen ist. Alles okay. Aber dadurch, dass sich dadurch die Säge etwas bewegt hat, hat er die zweite Scheibe schon leicht berührt, bevor er geschnitten hat. Und in der Folge war dann die zweite Disc dann unvollständig und das führte dann zur DQ.
Das klingt ja fast schon ein bisschen nach Detektivarbeit. Also gibt es oft so Situationen, wo man dann so genau schauen muss, wo man dann wirklich die gesamte Technologie, die zur Verfügung steht, auch wirklich nützt?
Ja, also es ist tatsächlich so, wenn man unser Regelwerk liest, dann denkt man ja immer, ja gut, Cut Foothold, keine komplette Scheibe, das sind immer so Schwarz- und Weiß-Entscheidungen. Aber jetzt hat man es gesehen, das ist tatsächlich nicht so. Es gibt ab und an mal, ich nenne es mal Graubereiche und dafür sind wir Schiedsrichter dann da, dass wir dann in einer Sisyphus-Arbeit oder Detektivarbeit dann das richtige Ergebnis finden.
Vielen Dank, Jörg Kurzenberger. Vielleicht an dieser Stelle auch nochmal einen Riesenapplaus für unsere Judges, die das wirklich nicht auf die leichte Schulter nehmen und sich bemühen, hier für alle Athleten eine perfekte Situation herbeizuführen. Well, Troy, you see what happened. I've just been explained. Ferry Swan had two cookies that looked incomplete. The first one was incomplete because it dropped onto the saw, so that was all right. But while it dropped onto the saw moved and made the second cookie incomplete. So at the end of the day, it wasn't the first cookie that was done, but the second cookie was the one that caused the problem and caused the DQ at the end. Hope you understood, because it took me some time to get what he was talking about. Back to you guys, Yolanda and Troy.
Thanks, Floaty. Yeah, that was a very confusing situation for us as well. Yolanda and I were discussing it while we were listening as well to what Jörg was saying. So a little bit of unluckiness there for those guys. All right, let's take a look at our stock saw list there. Pierre Puy-Barret with the fastest time, only by 29/100ths of a second over Cyril Paps from Switzerland. Then Danny Martin has redeemed himself in the third fastest time in the stock saw. Let's take a look at the overall standings here, and maybe we can see how that's affected the overall standings for our pros. And then after that, I would love to be able to see what the results are looking like on the European side. So Cyril Paps has now taken over the lead in the overall standings here with Alexander Maurice in second place and Emil Hansen from the Swedish side in third place. So that's changed things quite a bit. Danny Martin right down there at the bottom of the list. Marcel Steinkemper has a little bit of work to do as well as we get set up for our next discipline. And before that, we take a look here at the Nations Cup. So look at that. 13.5 points for Team Scandinavia. France just behind them by 25 or like 25/100ths of a point there with 13.25. So it's close between Scandinavia and France. France is still in the mix, and the rest of the guys are battling to find their way through. So it's looking good.
It's crazy.
Yep, it is at that. So next discipline, we have the standing block chop. Let's take a look at that discipline breakdown right now.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 30 centimeters has to be cut through both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
Okay, so there we have our start list for standing block chop, and as you saw, it's like felling a tree. Danny Martin up against Alexander Maurice in that first heat, and it's another opportunity here. Danny Martin definitely redeemed himself, and I'm kind of harping on Danny Martin here a little bit because it was a bit of an unfortunate situation at the start of our show here today. And so Alexander Maurice and Danny Martin going to be in heat number 1, and we will see if this will be an opportunity for him to increase the points for Germany. He's very good with the axe. We know that he can swing it. So let's see how he does in standing block chop. And we take a look at the beautiful scenery here and all the fans hanging out on the grasslands behind the arena area here, and behind us the arena is full of fans screaming and yelling and having a good time and enjoying the beautiful weather here in Seefeld, Austria, in the Tyrolean Alps. Fantastic location to vacation. All right, Danny Martin there, up against Alexander Maurice. World record, unbelievable, 11 seconds. Danny Martin with a personal best of 22:51. Alexander Maurice with a personal best of 24:81. So I'm not going to say super evenly matched up. We also know that these guys have been training all season long. And we're just waiting for our judges to come back up on stage, because it seems like they've decided they wanted to have a quick coffee break. I don't know. A lot of discussions going on backstage, perhaps with what's going on stage earlier on. And our athletes coming out onto stage right now. And our judges as well. And there you see the Olympiabad and the enclosed swimming pool, and the area where all those people are standing. That's an ice arena in the wintertime, which I found out the other day. And I'm really stoked to come back up here in the wintertime and maybe do a little bit of skating. So Danny Martin, he is not liking that block. That's a face of concentration as he gets ready for standing block. Alexander Maurice blowing out some of the butterflies.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Now, as we mentioned with the rookies earlier on, Yolanda, it's really important to get those cuts at the right angle in this discipline.
That's right, you can see by Danny Martin, the bottom, it's so smooth, and he just split his block, so we'll just see how that's gonna work for him, because that means there's more vibrations in the block and it's harder for him to knock it off.
Yeah, with each time he drives that axe in there, the block moves instead of cutting it. Boy, that's a nice time though for Danny Martin, 24:78. He'll take that under the conditions at the moment. Alexander Maurice still trying to get through there, and he does it in 33:04.
Definitely not happy with that, by the look on his face.
What's going through your mind as an athlete when you see that block split? Are you going, oh my God, no?
It depends if you noticed it at the start. You definitely notice it once you switch to the other side and start chopping out that wood. It is nerve-wracking, but you have to deal with it. You gotta get through.
All right, Danny Martin with a 24:24 after adjustment. Alexander Maurice with a 32 and change. 32.73. See some big slabs coming off of Danny Martin's block on the far side. Let's see if we see where that actually split.
So right by that, no, by the next, let's get one more. And there you go, there you saw how it split.
I missed that completely. I'm glad you're here with me, because I completely would have not seen that at all. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It is shaking and baking up there.
How the gap opens every time he hit there.
So it's almost like a suspender or a suspension system on a bike, you know? It's absorbing the hit before it actually allows the axe to cut. All right, Gunther Dahlinger against Cyril Pabst. This should be an interesting matchup. Cyril Pabst and I mean, how many guys can say they're still a professional athlete at 48, 49 years old? It's unbelievable. Cyril Pabst, the winner of the Swiss National Championship last weekend, he is a focused man.
He doesn't look older than 39.
No, he doesn't look a day older than 39. Yeah.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber.
I'm still 12 years old inside.
3, 2, 1, go!
All
big
right,
hits there.
Gunther Dahlinger just taking some big pieces out. Gunther Dahlinger switching to the other side, about 3.5, 4 strokes behind Cyril Pabst on the second side here. Cyril Pabst's cuts look really clean. Should be through any second now. Looks like he had it, but needed to go back and give it one more. 26.78. Gunther Dahlinger with a 30.47. So at the moment, Danny Martin's time of 24:24 is the time to beat in standing block chop. He's going to be, as they say in Germany, pressing his thumbs or crossing his fingers with the hope that nobody else can get faster times on those blocks today.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both guns are good.
So there's a beautiful start by Cyril Paps, and we noticed on his first side, his cuts were very, very clean.
Günther has a bit of a flat hit there. He's not following his lines.
The lines are drawn on there with a wax pencil in order to give these guys, you know, a guideline of where to hit. Do you actually see them when you start getting into the wood? Are they still there in your thought process or in your vision, or are you just sort of automated by you know, the training?
Well, as long as you hit your first couple of hits right on those marks, then it's still there.
What amazes me is these guys see exactly when they're making the hits, when it's going to go off. Now, we saw with Cyril Paps there, it looked like he was going for that final power hit to drive it off, and then he needed to come back and hit one more time before it actually fell off.
Yeah.
All right, so we do have another interview for you, this time with Cyril Paps, who was just on stage. We're going to head, with Günther Dahlinger, who was just on stage. He's over there with Flotti right now. Maybe.
Oh, we're already online. Günther Dahlinger, komm, stell dich her zu mir. Ich habe jetzt leider keinen Kontakt gehabt. Genau. Präsentiert sich hier seinen Fans. Wir wollen dich natürlich auch in der Kamera haben, lieber Günther. Die haben dich richtig gefeiert, ja, bei diesem Durchgang. Hat es dir Spaß gemacht? Hat es richtig gebrannt?
Richtig viel Spaß macht das, ja.
Du hast ja gestern schon richtig abgeliefert, ja, bei den österreichischen Staatsmeisterschaften. Man hat das Gefühl, du bist hier doppelt motiviert. Spüre ich das richtig oder kommt man das nur so vor?
Nein, das passt schon. Und dadurch, nach dem Bewerb geht es mit dem Training gleich weiter noch für Team-WM. Das passt schon. Ich bin gut drauf zurzeit.
Wie sieht's, ja, da darf gerne Zwischenapplaus gespendet werden. Wie sieht's aus mit den Kraftreserven im Moment?
Kraft haben wir, aber Technik, an der muss ich noch arbeiten.
Er sagt, Kraft hat er genug, an der Technik muss er arbeiten. Da unterstützen wir ihn, dass die Technik gut funktioniert in den nächsten Bewerben. Nochmal ein Riesenapplaus für Günther Dahlinger. Hält die rot-weiß-roten Farben heute hoch. Troy, Yolanda, you probably understood. He has a lot of power. He says no problem that yesterday at the Austrian National Pro Championships he lost a bit of power. It's all about the technique and he still has to improve that. That's what he said. But he's very motivated because the crowd is giving him so much support. So he's very much looking forward to the next disciplines. So let's give him a thumbs up and let's see if he gets through to the next round being under the top 8.
All right, well, I've heard that many a time before, and it's all about technique. Reminds me of an old 90s commercial for riding bikes and doing exercise. All about technique! Yeah, but I mean, these guys really do have to have clean technique on stage. There's no doubt about it.
That's right.
All right, next heat coming up. Heat number 3 in our standing block chop. Marcel Steinkemper going up against Mickey Perrin. We should point out that this is discipline number 3, which means it's the last discipline in round 1, and we will eliminate some athletes from our list. We'll take 8 athletes into round 2, remembering that it's also about gaining as many points as possible for the European Cup rankings. So there we see Michel Perrin.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Marcel Steinkemper is in excellent form on this one here. He's always good with the standing block chop. Michel Perrin also very good moving over to the other side quite quickly. And look at the power he's putting in there. Some big chips flying.
It'll be interesting to see if it pays him off.
He's almost there by the looks of it. He can feel it. And no, look at that, a personal best for Michel Perrin and for Steinkemper. Fantastic, a 22.85 for Perrin and a 25.77 for Steinkemper. 2 personal bests and our first 2 personal bests in the standing block chop. And Michel Perrin moves to the top of the standing block chop rankings with that race. Nicely done.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boat country good.
There you go, a couple of personal bests going down by the wayside and into the ocean. I like it. I love to see personal bests go. Regardless of what the time is, it tells you that these guys are making improvements. Look at the action, Obi, these two monsters on stage.
So you just saw that big chunk of wood that was in Michel's way. That probably cost him a little bit of power for that hit to get that piece out of the way.
He was around to the other side, a good 3-4 drivers ahead of Marcel Steinkemper. Marcel, he had it really close to the end, and I think he had one more power driver. He wanted to get it off, and it didn't go for him. Right there, you could just see it, and then, yeah, again, that slow motion. Oh, and he got so stuck in there. That was a rough one.
And you have
Oh,
to
man.
be very careful when your axe gets stuck like that on your last hit, that you are pulling it back out the same way it came in, because if you move it up and down a little bit, then it's wrenching.
Yeah, good point. All right, heat number 4 coming up with Alessandro Ciapponi and Marcin Dubitsky. Alessandro Ciapponi recently out of, also last year, I believe, was his first full year as a pro. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. They both.
He either exited the rookies mid last year or was a pro beginning of last year, but he has really made a statement for Italian timber sports as one of their premier sawyers and choppers.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Marcin Dubitsky getting right into it. Interesting stance for him as, Ciapponi decides to try and take out some of the wood. That's going to kill some of his time and some of the action on the block there. Wow, look at the power by Marcin Dubitsky there as he moves over to the other side. Ciapponi on the other side of his. A bit of salad on that first side might cause him problems getting through on the second side. And Dubitsky with a 28-19. Ciapponi almost there. He's got 3-4 more drivers perhaps. 2 drivers will do it. 35-62 for Ciapponi. So that puts him in 8th place in the standing. Block chop Marcin Dubitsky in 5th place. Michel Perrin still holding the top spot. Interestingly enough, though, places 2 and 3 in standing block right now belong to the Germans, Danny Martin and Marcel Steinkemper, respectively. So good job.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both shots are good.
All right. This is the one discipline where you're seeing the least amount of DQs, I feel like. Whether it's the rookies or the pros, we're getting the least amount of DQs here because really the only thing that you can DQ is if you have a false start, right?
That's right. False start or out of time. So you saw that big piece in the way again there by Ciapponi. He did take the time to try and hit it away. He should have just went for it and hit it. But it's a safety thing. In training, you tend to stop, make sure that piece is out of the way, and then continue.
All right, folks, welcome back in studio here. Well, I mean, we're halfway into our final discipline in round 1, and we have to say thank you to one of our presenting sponsors because this event doesn't happen without them. So please watch this, and a big thank you to Lipia.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, so big thanks to Liebherr for being our presenting sponsor here at the STIHL Timbersports. Without them and their partnership, these events don't happen, and of course we always appreciate the support that makes us be able to do these events all over the world. Okay, so our stage is almost set for heat number 5 and 6 coming up, and that is going to be Michal Dubitsky up against Armin Kugler. Again, 2 guys that have been battling against each other in previous events, and it's going to be an interesting heat between these two as well, because they both have interesting styles on standing block chop.
Make some noise.
All right, so it sounds like that our athletes are coming up onto stage here, so we will get headed over to the stage for standing block chop heat number 5 with Mika Dubitsky and Armin Kugler.
We got 2 machines here.
We do. So you can see those sleeves that Mika Dubitsky is wearing, compression sleeves to help maintain the stability of the muscles in his arms and the tendons as well. I talked to him about it briefly at the Polish Championships when he actually stopped at the competition at the European Trophy and said he can't go anymore because his arms just weren't working. He tried to explain it to me a little bit, but yeah, I'm glad to see him out here and competing, and I'm glad to see that he's in more or less good shape. And because Armin Kugler is so big and so tall, they have to reposition that one block a little bit away from his swing position.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So as I mentioned, 2 different styles here. Dubitsky going for a lot of pace and Armin Kugler aiming for power and precision. Dubitsky over to the other side of his block, I believe, first. No, they're pretty much over at the same time. Oh my goodness, that was an incredible time for Dubitsky. 15:76 and a personal best. Armin Kugler with a 20:11. Nice.
Didn't you say he was slightly injured?
Did I say that? I might have been lying. Or maybe he's playing possum, I don't know. But that was a fantastic run from Mika Dubitsky.
That was amazing.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts is good.
All right, so there you go. These 2 guys with, by virtue, personal best for Armin Kugler. Interesting. I don't know about that.
They were corrected.
They did some correcting on the time, so it is a personal best for Armin Kugler and a little bit of a correction for Dubitsky with a 17:25. And strange. It was quite interesting. Doesn't matter. Mika Dubitsky with the fastest time of the day so far. Armin Kugler second fastest, and that means they push Michi Perrin down into 3rd position as those 2 gentlemen that were just on stage occupy positions 1 and 2.
And you saw the power by Mika Dubitsky. He just did those 2 bottom hits and then just drivers the rest of the way.
Yeah, he stayed on top and he was just going for it. Another big angry man not liking his block at all. All right, next heat coming up, the second to last heat in round 1, and that's Ferry Swan going up against Christoph Geisler. You see Christoph Geisler holding the national record for Switzerland of 17:44, and a personal best for Ferry Swan is slightly faster at 16:47. Ferry Swan very often takes either the underhand chop or the standing block chop in the team competition, so you know he's good here.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And that all-important standing block chop in the team competition is the anchor position. It's the last discipline, and you can see exactly why they put Ferry Swan in there. He's already over to the other side of his block in under 10 seconds. And he is just really going for it. Christoph Geisler, a little bit of a sticky axe there as he is chipping out nicely. Ferry Swan got a sticky one too, but he's got himself a 20.86. And Christoph Geisler at 24.60, so he just snuck in there ahead of Michi Perrin in 3rd place. Ferry Swan did. Christoph Geisler slips into 6th place in the standing block chop results.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so a couple of good cuts there, and we are almost through round 1 here, as we have one more heat to go in the standing block chop. The guys will clean up the stage, put 1 pair of stands up as we take a look back at the slow-mos here. Oh, big chip.
So very good angle there for Christoph Geisler. He is an amazing axeman. Ferry just so quick, so strong.
You can actually say about Ferry Swan, he is probably one of the most fit athletes on the tour.
That's right.
You can see the pieces of wood flying into our video shot there from Ferry Swan's block as Christoph Geisler is working hard on his second side.
Bit of a stick there, but that last hit was enough to knock it off.
All right, so we have one more heat to go in this first round. So we've had 3 disciplines up until now. The final heat, heat number 7, in the standing block chop with Pierre Puy-Barré up against Emil Hansen, a couple of big boys that are good with the axe in hand. So I'd be very curious to see how this one goes down. I mentioned that Ferry Swan is sometimes the anchor man for the team competition. Emil Hansen can also slip into that position as well. By the way, folks, if you want to get involved in the conversation, you can see just down below me there is the hashtag for STIHL Timbersports. We do have another hashtag called Kiss My Axe. Don't let me misspeak that one. There it is. So if you want to get involved in the conversation, send some notes in, send some pictures from the events you're participating in or just being a viewer at, do get involved. We'd love to see your comments online and know what you guys are thinking out there. Yolanda, one more heat to go in this underhand chop, and we haven't seen any DQs so far. We did mention that this is one of the events where the least DQs happen. What are your thoughts so far on what we've seen?
Well, it's been such a close-knit race now, so we'll just see what these two guys do, and then we'll see where we have those overall standings.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how this changes the overall standings because there have been quite a few, I wouldn't say upsets, but there have been quite a few unexpected results here. Pierre Puy-Barré getting ready to go up against Emil Hansson.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1.
It's a single buck.
It's amazing
Talk me through this one here.
to see that stance from Emil Hansen, how deep he gets down. And Puy-Barré just, he's one strong man and uses his power completely to knock that block off.
Interesting.
Bam.
Last 2 blows from Puy-Barré, though. It looked like he thought it was going to go and just wanted to give it a little tap and didn't drive through like you say the guys probably should. Maybe you should be coaching. Okay, so standing block chop rankings coming up here. Then we're going to have a quick look at the overall standings and how that affects the European Cup standings as well. Dubitsky, Armin Kugler, and Puy-Barré on top of the standing block chop ranking here with Michael Dubitsky having a 17:25 time, a good 2 seconds and change faster than Armin Kugler. In the overall standings, Dubitsky on top now with Kugler in second place and Puy-Barré in third. Emil Hansen, Cyril Paps, and Christoph Geisler rounding out the top 6 with Marcin Dubitsky in 7th place. Then we have Maurice Perrin, Swan, Martin, Steinkemper, Dallinger, and Chiapponi. So you can see there the points distribution as the team is getting ready for the stage. And now the Nations Cup. Scandinavia still in the lead. Now with 13.75 points, they opened it up a little bit. France in second place, Poland in third, Austria, Switzerland, Germany, and Italy rounding out the top 7 guys there, or the top 7 teams. So at the moment, Team Scandinavia still leading everything. It's unbelievable, but Team France is very, very close. So we could have a nice bit of changing of the guards as we move into the next round, where we only have 8 athletes moving on to the next round for the single buck, which is our next discipline. Let's take a look at the tool and discipline.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
So we've reduced our list of athletes down to now 8 athletes and 4 heats. Alexander Maurice will be going up against Marcin Dubitsky in heat number 1, Christoph Geisler and Cyril Pabst, and all Swiss heat number 2, Emil Hansen, Pierre Puy-Barré in heat 3, Armin Kugler and Mikhail Dubitsky in heat number 4. So this is an opportunity now that we do have 2 French athletes, 2 Swiss athletes, 2 Polish athletes, and only 1 Norwegian, or not Norwegian, but Nordic athlete in the mix here, that the French have an opportunity to try and catch up with the Nordics. And this is also an opportunity for the Polish athletes to take on a little bit more here, because these are strong disciplines coming up for them, the single buck and the springboard.
Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, that was a very fast start by Mikhail Dubitsky, or Marcin Dubitsky. Is it Marcin or Mikhail? It's Marcin Dubitsky. Oh, a big bow there. That's why they call it the misery whip, but he got through in 14.82. And Alexander Maurice with a 16.10 personal best. Very nice run for him. So up until this point, France was in second place behind the Nordic countries. So this is a great opportunity now for France to try and catch up, as I mentioned, the Nordic countries only have 1 athlete in the mix remaining.
Both shots are good.
Marcin Dubitsky also gets a personal best after they made the adjustment, so that's always nice to see. Great job, and you never see that kind of emotion coming from the Poles very often, but it's nice to see when it does happen, and you could tell he was very excited about that one. Alexander Maurice also with a fantastic run.
So you can see here that Marcin, he kind of lifts his saw just a little bit when he pushes it. That means he's not using the entire saw to cut. He's only cutting in the front part of it. So if he would not lift it as much, he would be cutting more wood.
So keeping a flat saw in there. Nice efficient cut from Alexander Maurice. So Marcin Dubitsky with a 14.60. And Alexander Maurice with a 15.86 final times there. Those 2 guys are locked in at the top 2 spots for the moment. But a couple of gentlemen from Switzerland, both of whom are very solid on the single buck, in particular Christoph Geisler, holding the national record for this discipline.
That's right, this is his specialty.
Now, we've seen plenty of battles in World Championships before where it's been Christoph Geisler and the guys from Australia and New Zealand and Canada all in and around the same position. Cyril Pabst getting ready here. Now, Cyril Pabst has got a bit of a slower personal best time, but this is an opportunity for him to play up, and we know that he can cut well because he cut very well at the Swiss Champions last weekend.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So good long strokes there from both of them, almost even.
They're both in sync.
Spoke too soon.
Yeah. Boy, it's really close between these 2 guys. Christoph Geisler is looking like he's going to get to the bottom. And Cyril Pabst got hooked up, and it's Christoph Geisler with a 17.33 unofficially. Cyril Pabst with an 18.62, and only by virtue of a hookup at the bottom. Otherwise, I think they would have been dead even with each other at the bottom of the cut. Cyril joking around with Christoph.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both shots are good.
All right, so adjusted times, Christoph Gaze with a 17:10, Cyril Paps with an 18:39. Third and fourth places respectively in this discipline, and that moves them up into second and third for the moment in the overall standings, but the time of Marcin Dubicki is still the time to beat in single.
So definitely not the times that they had wanted, but it always depends on the day. And with that big hookup.
Oh, massive hookup.
Always at the bottom of the cookie to get a hookup and get that saw moving again enough without breaking off that cookie is crucial.
It's almost like they called each other before they came out to do the cut. Let's do it in sync with each other. And then unfortunate, Cyril Papst lost a little bit on the bottom. Okay, Emil Hansen and Pierre Puy-Barré coming out. And this is one of those things where Pierre Puy-Barré is really, really strong. But Emil Hansen has been showing a lot of improvement in this discipline over the last few years. And I think pretty much every time I've seen him come out to cut the single saw, he has had a personal best or some sort of improvement here. So looking to see how well he cuts this time around.
Yeah. Never underestimate the little guys.
Nope. Although I don't know if I would call Emil Hansen a little guy necessarily.
Why?
He's coming in at $1.85 m, so he's kind of my height. Okay, I'm shrinking in my old age, and I'm pushing more out the front, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And again, syncing up with each other as they get going. Emil Hansen with that super wide stance that we saw him have in the standing block chop, and he is looking very good. Oh, this is going to be a good time for Hansen. 13:23, there's a personal best, I believe. Nope, excuse me. His 12:41 is his personal best. I lied. But it will be the fastest time. After adjustment, it looks like he's got a 12:97, and Pierre Puy-Barré slips into third place just behind Marcin Dubicki with a 15:83. So far, only two personal bests, and that's Dubicki and Maurice in their heat to start
Okay,
things
ladies and
off.
gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, there you go. Good run by those two guys, and Emil Hansen takes over the top spot there. So he's still keeping the Nordic countries in the mix here, but it's 2 against 1 in this case. Each of the other countries has 2 athletes in the mix.
So it's incredible how much of the saw he uses. So he does have to be careful, because you can see how the saw is going completely into the block, that if he doesn't lose his balance a little bit, that he doesn't pull that saw completely out, because then you need to pick it up off the ground, put it back into your cookie.
Yeah, and again, look at that stance that he's got so deep in that final drive through. Very, very nice.
And there we have that hookup from Pierre.
Those little hookups always are just so, I don't even know how to say it. It angers me to see it over here, because you know the times could be like a half second to a second better without that hookup, and you always want to see that. All right, Michael Dubicki and Armin Kugler is our last heat in the single buck here, heat number 4. And this is an opportunity for both of these guys to improve their standing for the country in the overall cup here.
See how shiny the saws are. They've got them all greased up.
What are they actually using on there? It's a type of oil, or what is it that they put on the saws to keep them from binding on the blocks?
It's a secret.
Oh, is it really now? So it's like 10W40 motor oil.
Everybody uses a little bit, something
Okay.
different.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, Dubicki with an immediate hookup as he got stuck there. Armin Kugler got it going, and he is using the entire length of the saw. Now Dubicki using the entire length of the saw and speed. He's got his own motor, but he hooked up again again, but he's got it through faster. Unbelievable. I can't get over this guy. Dubicki with a 15.97 with 3 fat hookups through the cut, and Armin Kugler was cutting through clean and still was a little bit slower than Dubicki. That is absolutely bananas.
Do you see how fast those strokes are going?
Yeah,
Unreal.
and full-length strokes, too. We're not talking about just like half cut. You know, he was going for it full on. What a fantastic result there. So Mikhail Dubitsky
Okay,
slips into
gentlemen,
third place, Pierre
congratulations.
Puy-Barré in
Focus and
fourth, Alexander Maurice fifth. Armin Kugler is there in sixth, and our two Swiss athletes are in position 7 and 8. Emil Hansen, the fastest guy here, so they're going to be enjoying those points for the team for sure. But Marcin and Mikhail Dubitsky have definitely done their job to try and get Poland back up in the list. Let's watch these hookups here.
With Armin using the entire saw. He's such a good sawyer. Here you see Dubicki picking up the pace faster, faster, and then that hookup. And another one. Those are crucial seconds that it costs you with those hookups.
Wow, that was close to breaking off the disc as well. That is one of those very dangerous situations, and you could see the disappointment, but at the same time, the relief that he had when he had that cut finished. And I mean, that's about as clean a cut as you can get from Armin Kugler, but he just wasn't all that fast, comparatively speaking. All right, folks, well, we've just finished up with our single buck discipline. We're getting the stage ready now for our springboard, which is a crazy one. But before that, we're going to go back over to Floaty on the interview stage, who he is with. It's a living legend in timber sports from Sweden, Hans-Ove Hansen.
You're right. Hans-Ove is standing right next to me, a legend that is taking good care of the rookies. How does it feel to see the Swedish, the Scandinavian rookies compete on international level?
Thank you for the nice words. Yeah, I get goosebumps when you think about all the rookies that are coming, and they're really good. The level is so high everywhere, and I'm really proud of the European and of course the Scandinavian rookies, and also the ladies in Scandinavia is really good.
We can hear him shouting in the background, having a good time. And you've been with STIHL Timbersports for many, many years. You've watched the development. What do you think has made the difference over the last few years that, especially in Europe, the growth and the level of competition has risen so fast?
Yeah, but I think the athletes they know that they need to do the work. They need to practice a lot, do the training. You cannot just go in a competition and compete. You need to be well prepared, and that's the secret. And if people are starting doing that, the level goes up automatically.
And I think like competitions like today, when you have the rookies working together with the pros, that also is something that helps the evolution of STIHL Timbersports. Thinking back when you started off, I don't think there was a lot of older athletes saying, yeah, come on, Hans-Ove, I'll show you around, I'll give you some tips and advice.
No, that's right. We have the Rookie Academy. When that started, the level went right up. So that's one reason why so many rookies are good. And they take also the next step to the pro level. And that's very interesting, because when I started, I usually say I was too old from the beginning, but it was also, I was doing one block. I could shop one under block. And Australian, New Zealand guys, they could do 2 blocks. But now, all the Europeans and the Scandinavians, they are catching up, closing up, and they can, we're going to see a world champion someday, I promise.
That's great to hear from you, Hans-Ove. Always a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for giving this positive spirit to STIHL Timbersports, and stick around as long as possible. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I will be in the sport, make sure.
Thank you so much. What a legend. Troy, back to you guys. I hope you enjoyed that just as much as me.
Absolutely. And not only is he a legend, one of the most polite individuals I have ever met in my life. So let's take a look at the single buck results here and how that affects our overall standings. Emil Hansen with a fantastic 12.97 time and 16 points in his pocket. The Dubitsky boys both with good times of 14.60 and 15.55. For 14 and 12 points respectively. Then the 2 Frenchmen, Pierre Puy-Barré and Alexander Maurice in 4 and 5. Armin Kugler, the only Austrian still in the mix here in position 6. Christoph Geisler and Cyril Paps in position 7 and 8. Let's take a look at the overall standings now. Emil Hansen moving up to the top of the leaderboard with 38 points. 1 point back of him is Mikhail Dubitsky. Then we have Pierre-Puy Barré with 34 points and Armin Kugler with 31 points. So among the top 4 guys, only 8 points separate them, and that's still achievable in the springboard, which is our next discipline coming up. And a quick look at the way the Nations Cup ranking is shaping up. Scandinavia still opening up the lead to 16.75 points. France 4 points back, good 4 points back, needing to get up there. And Poland's back in 11 points with 3rd place at the moment. So those top 3 teams are going to be really battling hard as we head into the springboard. Now, we do have the World Championship coming up in November. We're going to have the Team World Championship as well as the individual World Championships in Stuttgart, Germany. There are still tickets available, and to wet your whistle a little bit on this one, let's take a look at what this World Championship could look like with a quick teaser and a vibe for that event.
Herzlich willkommen, Stuttgart!
Record from Sterling Hart. To celebrate the 90th anniversary, STIHL has brought the STIHL Timbersports World Championship back to Stuttgart.
There's still some wild out there, but to look for it, you need something that can look adventure in the eye. Something built wild. You need a Bronco.
This is IMO Evo. Cuts perfectly and looks after your lawn for you. Take control of your garden. Perfect lawn, intelligent mowing. The next generation IMO, only from approved STIHL dealers or online.
All right, so lots of action still to come, as you can maybe see in behind us there. They're still working on setting up the stands for our springboard, one of the most difficult disciplines to become good at. There is lots of action still to go today, but we also still have lots of action left in our timber sports season. Let's take a look quickly at what's coming up. Or maybe not. Oh, here we go. So, coming competitions in 2023. As you see, we are live now here at the European Nations Pro Cup in Seefeld, Austria. Then in 1 month's time, we are in the German Pro Championships in Essen, Germany on the 1st of October. And of course, we always recommend that you come to these events live because there's no other way to really feel the vibe. But on the 3rd and 4th of November, you can also check out via live stream the Team World Championships and the individual World Championships, respectively, in Stuttgart, Germany at the Porsche Arena. There are still tickets available. We've been informed it was sold out, then they released a few more tickets. Those were sold out. Now they've released a few more tickets. So those tickets will not be available very long. All right, now you guys have been watching us all day long. The guys have been cutting wood, chopping wood. They've been throwing it out over here and knocking it out all over the place. And a lot of people are going, hey, wait a minute. We've got a lot of climate problems at the moment. What about sustainability here? Well, our wood is sustainably managed and harvested, folks, and we want to just illustrate a little bit how that's done with this next little clip. Take a look.
We as STIHL Timbersports pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this popular wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our STIHL competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture, the ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
STIHL Timbersports is an international extreme sports competition series featuring 6 disciplines: 3 chopping and 3 sawing. We have a premier competition, we need premier wood. The biggest challenges that I face as part of my role is to ensure that our competitions are supplied with the highest quality wood.
Each individual tree is examined for its conformation before processing. We need to make it fair for all athletes. So we are selecting different sections of the trees to use for each of our specific disciplines.
Once the trees are felled, extracted and transported to our facilities, we measure, mark and then cut the wood into sized blocks. We then peel the blocks ready for competition. After careful selection, the blocks then leave our yard and are distributed internationally to our STIHL Timbersports competitions.
All right, folks, so we are almost ready on stage for Springboard. Let's give you a little bit of a clarification about what the Springboard is all about. Check this out.
Springboard. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees, climbing up over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete then climbs up to chop through a 27-centimeter thick block of wood in the fastest time possible.
All right, so there we see our 4 heats in Springboard. We'll have 2 heats, and then we will reset the blocks on top for heats 3 and 4. So we're going to start off our Springboard discipline with Alexander Maurice. And I believe that's Marcin Dubicki with the 2 M Dubitskis out there. The Dubitskis, it's a little bit confusing, eh? It is Marcin Dubicki going up against Alexander Maurice. Now, both of these guys have Springboard times of over a minute. Alexander Maurice with a 1:00:59. Marcin Dubicki with a 1:13:12. This is a very, 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 very difficult discipline to become good at. Why? It's just cutting a hole, putting a board in and jumping up and cutting, right? Come on.
Yeah, that hole is the tricky one. It can make or break your entire event of this Springboard.
Yeah, for me it seems like this is more the maker or the breaker than the hot saw is, because this one determines who actually gets into the hot saw discipline. And those pockets these guys have to cut, that hole that I was talking about, are super important. You don't want to mess around chopping away and taking your time to cut those pockets. You want to get up and start cutting that top block as quickly as possible.
That's right. You see them getting ready now, making sure that everything's in the right spot.
Yeah, this is very much about routine as well, making sure that you've got everything where you expect it to be. You can see there Alexander Maurice setting a couple of sandbags down at the bottom of his Springboard so that it doesn't slide away on him. You can also see on those boards that they have a metal tooth right up there at the top of the board, and it's almost like a skateboard grip tape on there, or rubber grip tape that they stand on. So the best situation would be, and this is what we saw with Walter Page at the US Championship, 4 pockets, board in, 4 pockets, board in, and cut a quick block on top. We saw that as well with Sterling Hart back in 2016, both of those guys having achieved world records in their particular time.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So that's a 6-hit pocket for Alexander Maurice, and he's got himself a nice first board, quick up. Marcin Dubitsky now on his first board. The first board is inconsequential at this point, really, though, Yolanda. It's about getting that second board in good position, and that's a really nice quick pocket for Alexander Maurice as he crawls up onto the top of that one, and that's as parallel as it gets. Hopefully it stays that way for him. Marcin Dubitsky is a heavier man, so for him, it's about making sure that second board is really stable, because 2 meters up with a razor-sharp axe in your hand, you don't want to fall down from there.
That's right.
Dubitsky setting his second board now and climbing up onto the top there. He wants to make sure that that tooth really sets well. Now we're starting to see a little bit of sag on Alexander Maurice's board, but he is switching to the other side. Could it be that he is going to have a best time here? He's getting close to cutting through as he's rounding up on the 1 minute mark, and he is almost there. Oh! 59.92 with a little extra hit. It might be that he was, with adjustment, gone over the minute mark. His personal best is 1 minute and 00, so 1:00:59. Dubitsky switching to the other side of his block now. And there he goes at 1:29.13. So slower than his personal best time, but that was a great time for Alexander Maurice. We have to wait and see how the adjustment from the competition control center comes. It almost came through that first board as he jumped down. So hopefully we can get a look back at that here as we wait for the call from our head judge, Bart Janssen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. Both shots are good.
All right, so they did make an adjustment on Alexander Maurice's time, and it will not be a personal best for him, but he'll still take the points at this point with a 1:02.95, but he was very close. It was just that last cut.
It was that last hit that it was holding on just with one little fiber.
You can see here he had a 6-hit pocket on that bottom pocket, and he was quick to place the board, no fuss, no muss, and it was a solid board as well. He barely moved it.
And you can see he didn't test the board first, so an experienced springboard chopper, he will literally just get on that board no matter what.
And we could see that he was on that top board, and this is also a little bit of confidence on that top board. If he knows he's got a good board, the confidence is going to be higher up, but there was a little bit of sag as he got to the second side, and we can see here on the far side of our screen as he is starting to get through that second side, and like you said, it just hung on by a little fiber, and it was that last little driver that put him over the mark. And this is another situation also where you really have to be careful that you're cutting through and not wrenching, like you mentioned earlier on with the standing block chop. Okay, next heat is ready to go with Christoph Geisler and Cyril Paps, the two Swiss men going against each other. Christoph Geisler's personal best is under a minute at 53.06, so he'll be aiming for that, but we haven't seen a lot of guys achieve that under a minute time this year on the European side, because it's just not a discipline that's trained very often, is it?
Okay.
It's trained, but
Athlete
it's just
ready.
it's
Stand to your timber.
what the day's like,
3,
how you're feeling.
2, 1, go!
Christoph Geisler with a 4-hit pocket right there. Cyril Paps, I'm thinking that was 5, maybe 6. I didn't count his as cleanly as I did Christoph's. Five-hit pocket there for the second pocket. A little housekeeping for Christoph Geisler as he sets that second board. Applies a little bit of pressure to try and lean in and get that tooth to take purchase. Cyril Paps up on top of his. Cyril Paps has got a much deeper angle on his board so he can step back, and he has actually got his foot way out back so he can push off that back foot. Christoph Geisler, meanwhile, has a little bit of sag, not much. He's almost parallel. So it's looking pretty good for Christoph as well as for Cyril. Could we have a time under a minute for either of these guys here as we round up to the minute mark here? 55, 56, 57. Not going to happen today, but they are getting close to moving to their second sides here. That's a wiggly block for Christoph Geisler, and it should take 1 or 2 drivers for him to get through there.
So the block is actually split by Christoph, and that's what you see is the wiggly part.
Oh, and that's a bit of a troublesome scene there. Now he's got some extra wood to get through. 122.09 and 122.76. So evenly raced heat there between the two Swiss athletes up on top. Great job by Christoph Geisler and Cyril Pabst. Obviously, neither of them want to have that time. They want to have quicker times, but like you were mentioning, it's about the day, it's about the feeling. And these guys have been battling all day long, you know. They've got, what do we have? We had the underhand chop, we had this stock saw, then we had the standing block chop, then we had the single buck to get to this point here. That's a long day of action.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both
wave there from
good.
Krista. Little wave there. Gotta love that.
All right, so we're going to get into a bit of slow-mo action here. Watch the number of hits Christoph Geisler on the left-hand side takes to set that pocket. That's number 2. That's number 3. Ah, come on, guys. Number 4, and he gets that axe out of the way and sets that board quickly. Now, again, that first board, it's a bit inconsequential, but he got a quick board in there, so that's important.
It gives you a good feeling, makes you think, good, all right, let's go for the next one. But he did have a few more hits there for that second pocket.
Yeah, he was about 6 or 7 hits, I think, for the second pocket. And then if you watch as he leans on that board to try and give the tooth purchase, that's about a 2-second count.
That's right. And you can see that when he's standing on the board, he's not utilizing the entire length because of the fact that he could start sagging.
There you see Cyril Pabst's block coming down. Thankfully, our cameramen stay safe in that location. Yeah. I mean, the guys do a great job, but the danger pay must be fantastic for our camera guys. So they're paying for the beers tonight. All right, so really quickly, we're in Seefeld in the Tyrolean Alps in Austria. It's a beautiful location. It's fantastic for tourism. On that note, Flotti is with the head of tourism for Seefeld, and that is Elias Walter. Let's go over to him and listen to what Elias has to say about the action and the events today.
Troy, you're absolutely right. Elias is standing right next to me. Elias Walter, Managing Director of Tourism here in der Region Seefeld. Sports seem to be a great place to come for here in your Seefeld. Why is that so, and how much origin and how much history do you have?
Absolutely. First of all, a very warm welcome here in Seefeld. It's a great atmosphere. Well, I think, as you mentioned, sport has a long history. We were proud hosts of the Olympic Winter Games in this area for 2 times, also for the World Championships in Nordic, and now we are proud hosts of the Timbersports, and I'm super, super happy, and it's so competitive. What a nice event.
Is that something you would try personally? I've been told you're a very good skier, you're good in snow. Would STIHL Timbersports something you'd like to try out for summer?
Maybe. For me, it's the first time that I saw this event live, and I'm really impressed. I didn't saw before that it's so competitive and so much sport, and I'm really impressed by all those guys and women. It's a fantastic sport event, but it took some time, or will take some time before I try it in person.
Well, maybe when we come back next year, Troy and me will give you a special session on STIHL Timbersports. Always great to be here. Thank you so much for taking your time and for making this possible. And Troy and Yolanda, back to you guys.
Thanks again, Flotti. And yeah, I think, Elias, we can start off with the single buck like I did, and you can wreck your shoulders that way. Okay, look, we've got 2 springboards already done, 2 more still to come. There was a world record back in 2016 set by Sterling Hart. That world record, which we thought would never be broken, was recently broken at the US Pro Championships by Walter Page. Let's take a quick look at how that went down and how the perfect storm happened for him.
3, 2, 1, go!
Page on the right, going for that 4-hit bottom pocket. It's done. That is step 1. Up on the top board. Going for, look at Bo Quinn right with him. Bo Quinn hanging right with him, another 4-hit top pocket. Walt Page chasing at 15, are you kidding me, seconds. Walt Page going after his best time of 47.21. at 23 seconds. He's chasing a world record. Walt Page on pace for a world record right now. Walt Page going for the world record. He's right there at 32 seconds. Can Page get it? He's done it. He's done it, a world record time. He's done it.
I mean, all you can say there, Yolanda, is wow.
Unreal. That was unbelievable.
I mean, the excitement that must have been going in that arena there for the U.S. Pro Championships, absolutely incredible. 2 times 4 hit pockets, and then we know, in fact, that Sterling Hart did send Walt Page a note afterwards saying, hey, congratulations, good job. So there's a lot of team sport there. And you can see on the bottom right-hand side of the screen there, the springboard results so far. And it sounds to me like we're almost ready on stage. The guys are just doing the last little bits of final adjustments to get those top blocks in position for our last 2 heats. And now we have to point out there's 2 more heats to go, and we will once again reduce the roster of athletes moving on into the final round, and that is down to 6 athletes. But our next heat lineup is coming up here, so let's check out who is in that heat. Or maybe we'll just talk about it here a little bit more. So in heat number 3, we should have Emil Hansson and Pierre Pouy-Barret. Here we go. And Armin Kugler going up against Michael Dubitsky. So Emil Hansson and Pierre Pouy-Barret, both guys with under a minute, but by just a hair. And as we've seen today, that under a minute isn't really necessarily running for these guys, but it's, as you said, it's about how they're feeling and what kind of condition they're in at the moment. Now, Emil Hansson is a bigger guy, but he's not as big as Pierre Pouy-Barret, and that's an amazing thing to think about when you're looking at those springboards holding up like a guy that's 120 kilos, 2 meters above the ground. You got to be wondering what's going through their heads, because, I mean, the rookies and the intermediates are doing training now with 1 springboard. What's that like?
So it's just, you got to get that pocket right to hold your weight that you're bringing to the game. The 1 springboard is a great way to start for the rookies. They're getting that feeling. They're training those 4 hit pockets, and then for when they move up to the pros, then they'll be ready to do that second one.
Now, there's even events that are just show events, but they actually do 3 springboards. I can't even wrap my head around that. 3 springboards and then cutting a block at the top. That is incredible.
It sure is.
All right, there you see Pierre Pouy-Barret concentrating heavily on that first pocket location that he's going to be working. Emil Hansson is set as well. At the Nordic event, we had to help out Emil Hansson because he had his block on the top upside down, so they had to reset that. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Pierre Pouy-Barret, 4 hit pocket, Emil Hansson 6. Pouy-Barret up and getting ready to set his second pocket. Emil Hansson really digging deep in with a lot of power with his hits. I don't know if that's necessary, is it?
It depends on the tree that you have, how hard you got to hit to get that pocket done.
Pierre Pouy-Barret slightly in the lead as he gets up onto his second board. Emil Hansson struggling to get his axe out of the block, but he seems pretty confident on that board. 2 meters up in the air. He's got his foot almost all the way at the back of the board, and he's pushing hard to get through there, getting support from the audience here. Pierre Pouy-Barret putting power into his drivers, but he's a little bit farther forward on the board. Neither of these boards have hardly any sag on them at all, so they should both be in good condition to keep working at it. Pierre Pouy-Barret, he's using that upper body power. Emil Hansson using his whole body to try and cut through there. Emil on the backside of his block now. Should be able to get it in under a minute. No, I don't think so. It's not going to happen, but 1 more driver, 2 more should do it here. Oh, he's got a sticky one now. It's a sticky wicket at the top for Emil Hansson, a 107.15. Pouy-Barret trying to get that block from the second side, cut through, passing 112, 113. It's going to be like 116 and change. They stopped the time a little bit too early for him. I believe we're going to have 116 for Pierre Pouy-Barret. So that means at this point in the game, Alexander Maurice for France still has the fastest time. Pierre Pouy-Barret with the 3rd fastest time, and Emil Hansson gains more points again, and that's going to help the Nordic team stay ahead. That's unbelievable. That is just an incredibly insane amount of skill that is required for this discipline. But for me, it was quite a surprising to watch Emil Hansen cut those pockets, because he again had that massively wide stance, very deep, and it almost looked like he was trying to cut through the block instead of cutting a pocket. So Emil Hansen, you see from the orange square there that has the first in it, that means he is in first in the overall standings. And if I look at my scorecard here, he's got 52 points after springboard. And you can see that cut in there, doing a little bit of house cleaning. I think he had 6 hits on that first pocket.
Yes, he did, yeah. So a little bit of stick there, trying to get that axe out of the top block there.
You can see the difference between these two guys on their top boards. The back foot from Pierre Puy-Barret is almost under his butt, and Emil Hansen's got his back foot all the way at the back of the board, so he can really press off that back foot, rotate his hips through those drivers, and put power into it every time.
So you can see here, he's trying to knock it off, but he's just not catching those fibers that are still attached to the block.
This is also a little bit of fatigue by that point. You know, you can't aim the axe anymore because you're just so tired. You know, they call it arm pump and climbing. You're holding onto that axe. You've got to hold onto that axe. All right, coming up now, we have Armin Kugler and Michael Dubitsky. Armin Kugler holds the national record for Austria with a 53.43. Michael Dubitsky's best time is a 51.51, and again, those under a minute times for a couple of big boys is very impressive.
So you hear the crowd going wild for these guys.
Should point out that that record for Armin Kugler, the national record for springboard, he actually got that yesterday.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Four-hit pocket for Kugler. It's a little messy in there, but he doesn't care about that first one as he gets up there and starts setting his second hit pocket. 6 or 7 hits for Dubitsky. 5-hit pocket on the second one for Armin Kugler. Dubitsky still working on that second pocket as Armin the Cat climbs up onto that top board and starts working the top block. Michael Dubitsky on top now. He's got a good board, and now Dubitsky can put that power in there. You can see his back foot is nearly out at the back end of his board. He's got good angle. Armin Kugler getting in deep. Dubitsky chasing him down now. Are we going to have under a minute for either one of these guys? It could be for Armin if he's clean on the backside. 53, 54, 55. It's getting close for both of them. Oh! Kugler's done it. Or, excuse me, Dubitsky's done it. And so has Kugler. Kugler actually did it at 1:00:01, so I'm pretty sure that that is going to be reduced down after the adjustment, and a great job by Michael Dubitsky to really motor through, and both of these guys, I'm pretty sure, are we going to have clean under a minute times. 56.84 at the moment for Michael Dubitsky, and Armin Kugler with a 59.58. Really close heat between those two guys, and the only two guys so far in the competition under a minute. That pushes Emil Hansen's time down and into a 4th place, so that is a good thing for the Poles, but is it going to be enough to take over the ranking in the European Cup standings? Michael Dubitsky has just taken over the top position in the overall standings for the pros. So let's take a look back here at the slow-mos. So Armin just continues to get better and better at this discipline. It was a couple of drivers extra that were problematic for him on the top block, but getting up there, he was nice and quick. And there's that last driver from him. A little bit of that accuracy was missing, and I think that's due to, like we said, fatigue and just being able to control the axe up there. All right, folks, it sounds like Armin Kugler is over with floaty, and let's hear from our Austrian champion and how he felt on that springboard.
For you, Troy, because I'm standing right next to the man. Yesterday, I thought, oh, this might be a bit too much for the next day, but it doesn't look like he's tired. Ich habe mir immer gestern gedacht, bei dem Einsatz und bei den Kraftreserven, die du bei den österreichischen Meisterschaften verbraucht hast, wirst du heute vielleicht ein bisschen was spüren, aber man hat nicht den Eindruck. Du gibst Vollgas.
Ja, perfekt, richtig aufgewärmt. Kann so weitergehen.
So he says it's been a warm-up for him. Man hat auch das Gefühl, die Fans, die sind auch aufgewärmt. Die haben hier richtig Spaß, dir zuzuschauen. Wie geil ist denn die Aussicht da oben?
Ja, das ist super. Wir sind ja von Haus aus schon auf 1200 Meter und da kommen halt nur mehr 3 dazu. Perfekt.
Du hast mir irgendwann einmal gesagt, du hast ein bisschen eine Höhenangst gehabt. Gibt es das noch oder ist das, seit du STIHL Timbersports betreibst, einfach weg?
Ja, das gewöhnt man sich irgendwann ab und man ist halt dann schneller, man will ja wieder zurück auf den Boden.
Das Geheimnis von Armin Kugler. Nochmal einen Riesenapplaus. So that's another secret that Armin has given away. He used to have, he used to be scared of heights, and that's why he's so fast, because then he comes back down faster. Troy, that might be a good idea for you guys as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll get me any time on a springboard in the near future. At least not at my girth. Let's take a look now at the springboard results here. Mika Dubitsky with a fantastic time under a minute of 56.84. Armin the Cat Kugler of 59.58. Doesn't look like he has too many problems with the height anymore, but I can understand him wanting to get back down off that thing as quick as possible, and he's done quite well at that today. Would you say, Yolanda?
He has, definitely.
Alexander Maurice with a time just over 1 minute. Not his best, but pretty close. And now let's see how that affects the overall standings. There you go. Dubitsky pushes Emil Hansen down into second place. 53 to 48 points is the difference. Armin Kugler now in third place with 45 points. And Pierre Puy-Barré from France rounding out the top 4 with 42 points. And then we jump into the 30s as we look down the rest of the list. So the Nations Cup standings, it's still Team Scandinavia well in the lead with 15.5 points, but France 3 points back with 12.5, Poland with 11.75, Austria with 10, and Switzerland, Germany, and Italy bringing up the rear with 5.25, 3.75, and 3 respectively. And now we are going to eliminate 2 more athletes from our list of 8, and moving on to the hot saw, which is our next discipline. Let's take a look at what this one means for the athletes.
These custom, handmade, race-tuned machines are built for maximum power and precision and to cut the wood as fast as possible in a competition. They are built with a 60 to 80 horsepower single-cylinder 2-stroke engine, often taken from a snowmobile or high-powered motorbike. The hot saw can weigh up to 30 kilograms and its chain rotates at over 250 kilometers an hour. The cost of a competition hot saw used in STIHL Timbersports is upward of 6,000 euros. Hot saw. For the hot saw, power saws are called into action and the athletes have a space of 15 centimeters to cut 3 complete discs off a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. Jumping the start or cutting over the line will result in a disqualification.
All right, the hot saw, the maker or breaker discipline. It's interesting, though, because you actually have to be licensed in order to operate these saws. You have to be over 18 years old, so that's why any of the rookies that have shown prowess in the rookies and want to get into the pro ranks early have to be 18 to be able to run these saws. And here's why. We're going to check out the warm-ups in the background here in the backstage area at just how angry these machines really are. So I believe that right there is a Rotax motor. The distinct sound between the Rotax and the Wankel. The Rotax are a bit whinier, you know, the Meme motors,
yeah.
and the Wankel motors are the ones that where you can really hear that deep throaty growl. I like the Wankel motors, quite honestly.
Me too.
That sound is for me absolutely the best thing, and if you're a gas head at all, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So there you could see that harvester bar on that hot saw, the steel bar. Pierre Puy-Beret, that's his machine, and he had a few problems getting that saw running at the French Championship, and now it seems to be working for him. So for him, it's all about getting out there and having a good, clean hot saw. Our hot saw start list looks like this: Marcin Dubitsky, Alexander Maurice, Pierre Puy-Beret, Armin Kugler, Emil Hansen, and Mika Dubitsky. And you can see in the background there more warm-ups going on as we have our picture-in-picture running. And it's also, you see those two Lexon screens that are there. Those screens will be transferred up onto the stage. It's kind of basically like bulletproof glass in case a chain flies off or some parts go disappearing on the athletes and head in one or the other direction to protect the guys that are on stage. So we'll have our first athletes coming up on stage shortly for this hot saw discipline, the maker or the breaker. And we'll find hopefully who our first heat is on screen in just a second, of Marcin Dubitsky and Alexander Maurice. All right, so we're just seeing that hot saw warm-up area. Emil Hansen, one more saw to go, and you can see the different style of saw that he has. And that's got the big fat bar on it, and you know that Hans-Ove Hansen's definitely had a hand in the build of that saw there. And because these saws are so expensive, between 6,000 and 8,000 euros for one of these machines, very often a new athlete who's coming in won't have their own hot saw, and they'll borrow one of the saws from Bart Jansen Events here. So that's a nice thing.
Yeah. Got to be fair for everyone, so we want to give everyone that chance to compete.
Pierman had the same problem at the Swiss Championships. His saw was actually not working correctly, and he had to borrow a saw. And it worked out pretty well for him, actually, didn't it?
It sure did.
Oh. There you go. Wankel motor. Love that sound. It's fantastic. And if you're in the audience live at any one of these events, make sure you bring some earplugs or some ear protectors with you, because they are very loud. I will say one thing before we start with the actual heats for the hot saw. We're going to say very little because there is so much going on stage that's so loud. You basically should not blink once the action happens on stage, because it's going to be over in the blink of an eye. 4.62 seconds for the world record. Season's best 4.75. Those are incredibly fast times, especially on these monster modified saws. All right, Marcin Dubitsky coming out with a national record of 6.94, going up against Alexander Maurice, who's got a personal best of 6.46. So two pretty evenly matched up guys based on the tail of the tape. Like I said, folks, when the action runs, don't blink. You'll miss it.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw.
Let's not forget these saws weigh 35 kilos, correct? Thereabouts?
That's right. It's not like picking up a bag and just walking away with it.
No, this is true. So what you've got to deal with is a heavy piece of equipment that has a high-performance motor. The motor is shaking the entire unit. The chain is moving at 250 to 270 kilometers an hour. Then you have to control the lift, control the cut. The chain wants to suck you into the log or push you away from the log. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. And in order to have a good, clean cut, you need to have some power behind you. You need to have a solid core. You need to have strong shoulders and arms.
Okay, athletes ready.
Stand to
Don't
your
blink,
timber.
folks. Here we go. First heat in hot saw. This is for all the marbles.
1, go.
Oh! Marcin Dubitsky had a problem. He put the chain on before he pulled the trigger, and that stopped the chain cold. It's a 7 and change for Alexander Maurice, so a 7:15, and Marcin Dubitsky has to start it. That's going to be a terrible time for him. He's got to get 3 cookies on the deck, and he has done it, but the time is going to be slow. 22.14. Now, I think I saw what happened. He lifted the saw up and he put it in place before he pulled the trigger, and that stopped the chain completely.
And that was one thin cookie he did there, the third one.
Aber so ist es bei der Hot Slow, it's the baker or the breaker. Da kann so viel passieren in diesen wenigen Sekunden.
All right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Both cuts are good, but Marcin Dubitsky not going to be happy with a 21.97, and you could be promising, or he'll be promising himself that will never happen again. So let's take a look back at the slow-mo here, what actually happened. Yeah, he got up there before he pulled the trigger, and because these chains are direct drive, correct? They don't have a clutch, so when the motor is running, the chain is running.
That's right, but you still have to give her gas that it keeps running.
That was a great second cookie there from Alexander Maurice, a nice thin one. And above all, that second cookie was super thin on the upcut. And here is the drama that ensues after something like that happens. You have to go in and do 3 cookies after restarting the saw. The pressure is really on to make sure that you've got, oh boy, you were right on that third cookie. That was paper thin. Wow, fantastic. Not fantastic time-wise, but fantastic that he kept his cool, stayed calm, and went in there and did the job that he needed to do. All right, so Pierre Puy-Barré, national record of 5.79. Not that far off a world record. Armin Kugler, he had problems yesterday with the hot saw, and he really struggled with it. But it's a new day and a new competition as these two guys are up on stage. And once again, it's all to play for here in the hot saw.
Okay, gentlemen.
Just have to move one of our cameramen out of the way and keep him safe. That's Bouma. Bouma is one of those guys that likes to get right into the mix to take those pictures and get really nice shots for us, but sometimes that puts him at risk. So Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger went over to him and said, come on, Bouma, you got to just give yourself a little bit of safety space here. Other cameraman on stage is Max P. Max G, excuse me, yeah. We've got so many Maxes as cameramen, I can't keep up.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, a much better run today for Armin Kugler, 8.75. Pierre Puy-Barré with a 7.48. Oh, broken cookie. Is it complete, though? It looks like it is, so that should be fair. That was a situation we talked about earlier on. If the cookie falls and breaks but still is complete, it is a safe cut. A couple of big cookies there for Armin Kugler. Remember, they only have 15 centimeters to cut. That's minimal.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
So both quick to start, but look at that tempo increase by Pierre Puy-Barré, unreal.
This was a much better cut today than it was yesterday. Armin really had some problems, and here we see Pierre Puy-Barré. Oh, that's a nice thin second cookie there by him. Very nice job. And he's usually really, really solid in this discipline as well. All right. Folks, this is it. This is for all the marbles. Emil Hansen could regain the lead in the overall standings here with a good cut, or Mika Dubitsky could take the young man down. tail of the tape has the advantage going to Emil Hansen, but pressure is a funny thing. Pressure will get into your head, and if you don't have the mental stability, or if you're just not on point for the cut on that day, it could mess you up. We've seen that so many times in the past with the athletes, and a small mistake will knock the chain off the bar, or other things can happen.
That's right.
So the results from our rookies this morning and the results from our pros this afternoon, they will be added together and then mathematically divided. And after that, we will know who will take home victory here at the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS.
Making sure that everything's in place.
Yep.
Everything's on that needs to be on.
Okay,
Everything's
get down.
off that needs to be off.
Warm up your stall.
The curiosity. Oh my goodness. Couple of wankles on stage. Mega loud.
Unreal.
Yeah, these are my favorites. The curiosity is peaked far enough so that the people in the swimming pool have decided to stop swimming or sunbathing, and they're actually leaning on the railing looking over down at the stage from the side there. So Mika Dubitsky in the white and red, Emil Hansen in the yellow and blue, representing their respective nations. Emil Hansen for Sweden, representing the Nordics here today, and of course Mika Dubitsky representing Poland. So this could be the defense of the title for the Nordics, and another win for the Nordics in the European Nations Cup. We will see. I'm fairly secure in saying that that is going to be the case, but I'm not a math guy, so we'll leave that up to the computers and the people that are smarter than I am.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh no, he's got to do one more cookie. He's got to do one more.
That was a cutout by Mika Dubitsky. That's going to kill his time, a 7:70 and change here, 7:23, excuse me. Let's see, no, he's way off that, 21:97, the timer stopped it. Emil Hansen with a good time of 6:20. We got a little bit befuddled there as I believe we had a cutout. Yeah, you can see the one cookie that was cut out at the bottom. That means that that time was killed by Mika Dubitsky because he had to go back and do the extra cut, which you noticed right away, Yolanda, was great.
Okay.
Another reason why you're here, to keep me honest.
Both cuts are good.
All right, so that's a great time from Emil Hansen. I'm pretty sure that has secured the Nordics the win in the European Nations Cup, but we'll take a look first at the playback here.
So they both have a good first cookie. There you can see that cutout on the
right
far
at the
side.
tip of the blade, or the bar.
It's so good that he noticed that, he was thinking about it, and the other cookie covered it. So it was a real big surprise that he saw that.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe he just went for the safety cut. He might have felt it as well. Some of these guys are that in tune with their machines. Those are some fat cookies from Emil Hansen, but he had a nice, good cut there. It was a good start by Mika Dubitsky. Yeah, right there. Good eye. Oh, and it was risky because that third cookie was quite fat, so he needed to be super accurate on that fourth cookie in order to make sure that he had that time there for Poland. Exactly, the handshake is exactly right. All right, so there we have our hot saw results. Emil Hansen with a fantastic 6:20 takes the full 18 points. That means our Nordic countries are going to be your European Nations Cup champions once again. Alexander Maurice and Pierre Puy-Barré for France. Fantastic second and third places here, and they have a solid second place on the podium as well for our Nations Cup. And we'll take a look at the final results overall for the individual here. Emil Hansen takes over the top spot from Mika Dubitsky, who had a little bit of an ugly cut there in the hot saw. It could have been the other way around had he had a good clean cut, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him. And hopefully we'll take a quick look at the Nations Cup ranking. And there we go. Team Scandinavia will take the top of the podium, second year in a row. Team France, fantastic effort today. They'll be second on that podium, and Team Poland will have the bronze medal position for our Nations Cup. Great job. And it was an unbelievably fantastic day of action here in Seefeld, Austria for our European Nations Cup. Yolanda, I mean, it doesn't get much better than this with the action going up and down, heartbreaks and highs and lows and situations that we didn't expect. What are your thoughts on today's action so far?
It was just absolutely amazing, and just the performance from Emil Hansen now is unreal.
Yeah, it was crazy to start the day off for the German side, a DQ and a 5-point reduction. I mean, it was a hard start for them, and that might have been a mental battle for them from the get-go. We know that their skill level is absolutely on point with everybody else here, but that was just a bit of a hard start for them, generally speaking. But I mean, the Nordic nations came out and they were dominant today in the rookies as well as in the pro level. So, I mean, it's just been fantastic defense of the title for the Nordic nations. And we are going to go back up onto the stage, bring up all of our athletes, both the rookies and the pros, and get going with our award ceremony for this European Nations Cup 2023.
In Europa so abgeht, und das ist natürlich mitentscheidend für das, was wir heute hier zu sehen bekommen haben. Die große Siegerehrung in wenigen Momenten hier bei uns auf Tirols Hochplateau in Seefeld. Winner ceremony coming up in just a moment as we await the teams, of course consisting of all athletes, the rookies and the pros who have worked together to claim the points as we received all our maths. Starting with the 7th position. Wir starten mit Platz Nummer 7 und ich ersuche um einen riesen Applaus für das Team Italien. Team Italy claiming 7th position with 3.00 points. Alessandro Ciapponi, Michel Perin and Nicola Treccaricchi. Heute hier zu dritt angetreten und mit dem 7. Platz nach Hause gekommen. Die Medaillen gibt es wieder von Magister Alexander Hembach, dem Geschäftsführer von STIHL Österreich. Managing Director of STIHL Austria, Magister Alexander Hembach, handing over the medals as we proceed to the 6th place team. Auf Platz 6, Deutschland, Germany, consisting of Leon Pesch, Tim Manshofer, Marcel Steinkemper and Danny Martin. Definitely one of the teams to look out for over the next few years, with a bit of difficulties in the beginning of this tournament. Here at the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS European Nations Cup 2023. Magister Alexander Hembach handing over the medals as we await the 5th place team. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the team of Switzerland. Auf Platz 5 die Schweiz. Albert Greger, Jeffrey Hübscher, Christoph Geisler and Cyril Papst. Wie es bei STIHL Timbersports üblich ist, gibt es da noch das Shake Hands mit allen Athleten. As Team Switzerland is getting into position, getting their well-deserved medals here on stage in Seefeld. And while the medals are being handed over, we await the team that ended up in 4th position. Nur ganz knapp am Podium vorbeigeschrammt. Ein Punkteschnitt von 10,0, 10,5 hätte man gebraucht fürs Podium. Also eine wirklich tolle Leistung. Die Gastgeber, machen wir Lärm für Team Österreich. Team Austria, coming up on stage, Robin Konicek, Lukas Wagesreiter, Armin Kugler und Günther Dallinger. Das Team in Rot-Weiß-Rot hat hier ein Versprechen für die Zukunft abgegeben. Da ist noch einiges möglich und da freut sich natürlich auch Magister Alexander Hembach, wenn er jetzt dieser starken Mannschaft die Medaillen umhängen darf. Da müssen wir schauen, dass wir genug Platz haben auf der Bühne. Hopefully we have enough space on stage as we await the bronze medalists. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, dear STIHL Timbersports fans, put your hands together for the team of Poland. Maciej Kosalka, Mikołaj Grönwald, Marcin Dubicki and Michal Dubicki. The bronze medalists of this year's European Nations Cup. Well-deserved, great performance by all four athletes. Stepping on the podium right now as we await the silver medalists. Please welcome on stage the team of France, Vincent Roussel, Loïc Moisson, Alexandre Meurice and Pierre Puy-Barré. Auch hier natürlich das Shake Hands mit allen Kollegen. Und jetzt auch mit den Drittplatzierten. High fives with the team of Poland as France approach the podium, stepping up to get the STIHL Timbersports European Nations Cup silver medals from the hands of Alexander Hembach, the managing director of STIHL Austria. And now it is time for the old and new champions. They have done it again. Please welcome on stage Team Scandinavia. Espen Pedersen, Edvin Karlsson, Ferry Svan and Emil Hansen. What a team, what a performance. Reclaiming their title, having already won in 2022. So here they are in Seefeld, Tirol, to reclaim the title, STIHL Timbersports European Nations Cup. Here are the winners stepping up on the podium. Give it up for Team Scandinavia. Aber nicht nur Goldmedaillen, sondern auch eine wunderbare Trophäe erwartet sie. Magister Elias Walser, Managing Director of Tourism Region Seefeld, wird sie jetzt bringen. Hier kommt die Trophäe unter dem hoffentlich tosenden Applaus. The trophy has arrived from the hands of Magister Elias Walser, the Managing Director of Tourism here in Seefeld, as is it lifted up. The STIHL Timbersports European Nations Cup trophy. And to honor our champions, we will of course play the national anthems of the two countries. Das heißt, jetzt spielen wir die beiden Nationalhymnen von Team Scandinavia. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Denmark and Sweden, starting with the national anthem of Denmark. Ich darf Sie bitten, sich zu erheben für die Nationalhymnen der Sieger. Wir starten mit der Hymne von Dänemark. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of Sweden. So here comes the national anthem of Sweden in a champagne shower, as obviously all athletes could not await the second anthem, celebrating here at the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS European Nations Cup 2023. Cheers to all athletes. I am not sure if we're still getting that anthem in the background or if celebrations have already started. We will find out in just a moment. The winners' pictures coming up. So we've got all the pictures for our press, of course, the winning team enjoying themselves. One more time, make some noise for our winners. Es gibt natürlich noch ein Siegerinterview für euch. Das wollen wir uns nicht nehmen lassen, aber wir geben den Sportlern natürlich hier die Zeit, auch entsprechend zu feiern, diesen Moment hier ganz einfach zu genießen. Guys, what a tremendous win. Looks like you're gonna have one big party tonight. Emil, you're standing up on the podium, but we want to have a winner interview. It's been a return of Team Scandinavia. I got to step up here just to make sure I can reach up to you for this moment. Did you guys expect to come here to Seefeld and to win again?
Of course, we're aiming for the win. Yeah.
Always aiming for the win, always having a few but very pointed words. How much fun was it to compete, not only here at the winners' ceremony, but at the competition itself?
For me, it wasn't that good competition, so when someone fucks up, the team picks up.
Well, isn't that brilliant? That's what this spirit is for here at the European Nations Cup. One of you was not from Sweden, and he was very proud to hear his anthem tonight.
This was my best competition ever, so... and I think I did well. I can't do any better. So, yeah.
So this is the spirit we want to see. We heard Danish Dynamite, but I think you can be very proud of yourself as well today.
I think we all can be very proud. Yeah, I think we all had a good time this entire weekend, and we helped each other a lot. So, yeah.
So are you going to return in 2024 to defend your title?
Yeah, of course, we will try.
Of course they will try. Nothing else would have been differently expected. There's the gold medals. There's the smiles on the faces of the winners. And hopefully back to big smiles in our studio. Back to Yolanda and back to Troy.
Definitely big smiles in the studio after that statement from Ferry Swan. We both barely managed to stay without laughing our heads off, and immediately said the same thing into our studio crew here. Hey, I mean, it's been a fantastic day, Yolanda. Your final thoughts on the day today?
Just incredible.
Short but pointed. Okay, there still are plenty of bits of action coming your way. We are done and dusted for today here for the European Nations Pro Cup in Seefeld, Austria. But on the 1st of October, just shy of a month from now, the German Pro Championship will happen in Essen, Germany, and that will be on a live stream. And then, of course, the big thing that everybody's been waiting for, the Team World Championship returns to Stuttgart, along with the Individual World Championship on the 3rd and 4th of November, respectively, at the Porsche Arena. So we expect to have all of you guys watching us there, and if you can't join us, definitely check out the live stream. It is going to be a banana sandwich over there. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. A whole bunch of our crew are going to be there. We're going to have a ton. Thank you very much, Yolanda, for being with me today and keeping me straight and on the straight and narrow path with the information. I'm Troy Mannering signing off for Yolanda. Enjoy the highlights of the day, and we'll see you guys next time around. Ciao.